5 to go. I did my routine now, darling, but out here much too long. I still need you. Darling, much too long. Yeah, I still need you. I need you. I need you. Here my first time, ready to go out of my world where nobody knows me. I'll ride over the wall. One sweet day, I'll make up my way to you.
Hello, YouTube. Adam Green here with No More News. It's November 4th, 2018. Should have an interesting show for you tonight. Thank you for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I am going, No More News is going to see the Gematria effect. The Gematria effect on No More News. My guest tonight is author of the book titled Letters and Numbers, How English's Numerical Code Reveals the Scripting of History, News, Elections, Rig Sports, and more. He is the host on Truth Frequency Radio on the Gematria Effect on Wednesdays 6 to 9 Pacific Time. And he has the YouTube channel Gematria Effect News, where he covers a lot of the similar issues as we do here at No More News. And he's an expert in Gematria. I had recently had another guest on Gematria on the show, which we'll probably discuss a little bit. So, Zachary K. Hubbard, thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing?
You're welcome, and it's good to be here. Thanks for having me on, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you. So, where do you want to start? How about just by a little brief introduction of your work with Gematria and the kind of stuff you cover on your channel? Why Gematria is important for everybody to understand. I just recently been learning about it, and it seems like it is really important to the Zionists and to a lot of Jewish people.
It is, and that's how I first started researching it, because I saw that the agenda that we're living out is a Zionist agenda largely, and there's other pieces to the puzzle, but there's very much a Zionist element. And discovering that there was this code out there of letters and numbers, and it was important to Judaism in some sects, it made me curious. I wanted to investigate, because from paying attention to news media, especially after September 11th, which was very numerological, a national emergency on 9/11, and something a lot of people don't know about 9/11 is that in 1968, the year 911 was made the national emergency dialing code, World Trade Center construction began, and George W. Bush graduated from Yale in Skull and Bones. And lo and behold, from Bush's birthday, July 6th, to September 11th each year, there's a span of 68 days. And Space Odyssey 2001 came out that year. There's a few other riddles with 68. It was a pretty bad year for the nation.
So in 1968 is when they started building, or they decided to build the Twin Towers, and that's also...
That's when construction began. The project was funded in 61, if I'm not mistaken, but construction didn't start until 68.
Interesting. And that's the same year when I think you said AT&T is the one that made 911 like the official national emergency number?
That's right.
Very, very interesting. You know, recently I saw old advertisement for the Twin Towers. I think it was like the first decade they were built, and it had a plane up at the very top near it. And I've already, everybody's seen all the like the odd predictive programming type stuff surrounding 9/11, and just to see that, like the plane from the very beginning of advertisements, was a shocker to me.
Absolutely, there's a lot of predictive programming for September 11th, from movies to TV shows to album covers. I'm trying to think what band did the album Breakfast in America. It's escaping my mind right now. Very popular band. Have you heard the song? Do you know who that is?
I know that there was some some album covers that were pointing to a 9/11. Another one where there was actually the Twin Towers blowing up. A rap one.
Okay, so the band Supertramp. It's from the year 79, 1979. So this is 11 years after construction began on the towers. Big number there on 9/11/11. But the band Supertramp, don't put this up on your screen. Don't put this, tell people to look it up. Don't put it up on your screen, because you will get a copyright strike for it if you do. Trust me. I've been
Okay.
down this road multiple times.
Right, yeah,
For
that's
some
something
reason,
I wanted to talk about is how you've had your channels are you had a large following and it was shut down earlier this year, I believe, right?
I was first shut down June of 2017, and I've been
Okay.
shut down. I'm on channel number 18 right now. We're on number 18 here.
Amazing. Wow. I'd like to hear your progression of names that you went through. But go ahead, continue on. What were we talking about? The 9/11. Were you still?
Sure. So I was
Yeah.
just making points about 9/11 and how I got into this Gematria thing. But real quick, I just want to tell your viewers out there, if they're not aware of this, look at the album cover by Supertramp, Breakfast in America, and take a mirror to that album cover and put it up against the S and the U. The way the letters are, they're behind the World Trade Center, the S and U, and the way they're showing, if you put a mirror up, because the bottoms of the letters are cut off, it ends up looking like a 9 and an 11. Or no, it's the U and the P. It's the U and the P, excuse me. It's the U and the P. I'm not looking at this right now. I'm trying to visualize it. There's the U and the P right above the World Trade Centers, and the bottom of the U's cut off. So it just looks like the lines on the U, like the World Trade Centers are an 11.
Yeah, I
But if
have it. You're saying that I can't show this? Just showing this album cover will get me censored?
it's happened to me twice now. So
Okay.
just letting you
Interesting.
know.
Well,
Yeah,
people
twice.
can look it up for themselves. Supertramp 9/11 1979, and I was able to find it.
Yeah, if you put up a mirror right against that U and P, it flips around in a mirror, and it says 9/11 right above the World Trade Centers.
Interesting.
Not an accident.
So
And there's a whole.
go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna say there's something else I saw videos you were covering. You were covering the red heifer and like the end times Jewish prophecy, and I saw you were making a prediction that you thought that there might be some kind of event next year. Could you
August
tell me?
11th, 2019. Let's get to that. But
Okay.
so I'll tie this in with September 11th about how I got on the date of August 11th, 2019.
Okay.
So with regards to explaining why Gematria is important, I noticed that there were all these numerical rituals in September 11th. And things like also on September 11th, a lot of people don't know this, but Flight 77, the plane that supposedly hit the Pentagon, if you look up in the 9/11 Commission report, that plane took off at 8:20 and it crashed at 9:37 into the Pentagon. That's 77 minutes later for Flight 77. And the other thing about the Pentagon is construction began on the Pentagon September 11th, 1941. So the attack was 60 years to the day. And if you look at the coordinates of the Pentagon, it's on the 77th meridian west. And its height is 77 feet above ground. And it has 5 floors above ground, 2 below for another 7 if you want to throw it in there. But just looking at all that going, that can't be a coincidence, all those 77s, and they've never released any real video footage, just some steel frames of supposedly a plane. It doesn't make any sense. One of the most guarded airspaces in the world, this footage should exist. And just a whole lot of things don't make sense about 9/11, from the Pentagon to Building 7 to the way the buildings turned to dust. But anyway, for years, I looked at these things and I said, there's some sort of ritual here. Like, what are they doing with numbers? What is it about numbers? Why is this important? And I just researching, I was a research machine. I came across this word Gematria, and I said, this is interesting. It's a Jewish practice, huh? Because I'd always known that on 9/11, the dancing Israelis were arrested in New Jersey and sent back to Israel, and then they went on their TV over there and said that they had foreknowledge and were there to document the attack of 9/11. So, I mean, why aren't we going after that? That's a big piece of information out there in the world. And anyway, I just realized that also the day after 9/11, Ehud Barak, the leader of Israel, went on television and said the U.S. needed to declare a war on terrorism and go to Afghanistan and Iraq, and that's exactly what we did do. It's like we're taking orders from Israel. And so I just knew that there was a Jewish element to this obvious conspiracy. People always like to say conspiracy theory, but it's like some things are obviously a conspiracy, a secret being kept from a group of people. 9/11 fits.
So the Israeli role in 9/11 is what got you into researching Gematria.
Well, it got me into researching what in the world was going on. I was 18 years old when 9/11 happened. I was barely 30 when I discovered Gematria. So I did a lot of reading, a lot of searching over the years. I found all sorts of interesting nuggets along the way. But then when I found Gematria, I knew I had found what they were operating by. If you write out September 11th as words, it sums to 77. Just like the number coded all over Flight 77. If you write out World Trade Center, it sums to 77. And other words that relate here are Judaism and Zionist. They both sum to 77. So does theater. United States is actually 77. So is power. It's a special number. So it's like, no wonder. So these numbers have meaning. So they're doing rituals. So when I first started researching this, I made certain discoveries. And I said, okay, there's something going on here. And I documented I began doing this research in 2013. And for the first year, I didn't present to anybody. I just documented, went through history, paid attention to current news, and I saw that there were certain numbers that were used again and again in very transparent rituals. Like I noticed how pretty much every shooting in history that's been in the media, the number 44 is coded front and center. And then I realized the word shooting equaled 44. So I was like, no wonder. And I mean, here in the latest synagogue shooting, they come out and they say, you know, the shooter gets 44 federal indictments. So it's just that these numbers have meaning. They're used ritualistically, and you just see how redundant the patterns are when you learn the code. So also, part of the reason I kept okay, so understand this. From the time I was 18 speaking out against 9/11, I was discovering that everyone in the world seemed to be pretty illogical. They didn't care about evidence. They just seemed to want to go with mainstream narrative. Talking about 9/11's a conspiracy theory. The bad guy in the cave did it. Just support the troops. I just realized that society didn't want the events questioned. They didn't want to look at the evidence. All sorts of people, friends, family, strangers, public debates. I did a lot of different things because I just had all this energy into me from 9/11. I just felt like, God, I'm living in a lie, and I have to do something about it. 9/11 really put me on a different path. And anyway, what I found over the years is no matter how logical I was, no matter how much evidence I came with, no matter how many valid questions and concerns I'd bring to the table, people just shrugged them off. So I was like, okay, I'm not just going to give up because it seems that people don't care or they don't want to consider. I'm going to keep going until I find something that most people can't deny. And what I've discovered about Gematria is it wakes up a lot of people. I can't tell you how many people in the years that I've been doing this have written like, dude, honestly, I wasn't awake at all, but your findings and your consistent presentation, I can't deny it anymore. I'm awake, and now I want to do something. And I've just had so many people say that. So I know that for a lot of people, this knowledge works. I'm amazed by how many people haven't come around in light of how consistent I've been, in light of how many big things I've called in the world before it happened. So I've been real passionate about this research because it brings extra evidence to something that people should already be able to see. I mean, 9/11, dancing Israelis sent back to Israel, that should be a sign to most people, but most people don't care. Well, if you can show that there's a greater conspiracy and there's a real agenda and it's being done by a certain set of numbers systematically, then you can get some people to cross that line.
So what is the purpose of them using these numbers like encoded in names and dates and stuff? Is this how they write their scripts that they play out, or is this like all predetermined and it's just like sacred geometry? It's all encoded in reality? Like what's the benefit of them doing this?
Sure. So this is the reason for it. There's a mysticism in the world that goes back to the days of Babylon. It's called Kabbalah. And there's a text for Kabbalah that's very important. Some say it's the most important text in Kabbalah. It's called the Book of Formation. And in the first paragraph of the Book of Formation, it says God created the world by merging the letter with the number with the word. And if you read the Bible, Genesis, God speaks the world into existence over numbered days. And God said, and God said. And lo and behold, if you learn the English code, you can see exactly how Genesis is coded. For example, in Hebrew, where this code originally comes from, the word Kabbalah sums to 137. Genesis means in the beginning. If you write out in the beginning with the English language and you use the alphabetic order, so A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, up to Z is 26, in the beginning sums to 137, just like Kabbalah. 137 is the 33rd prime number. Prime numbers are important in this study. For people out there who forget what prime numbers are, they're the numbers that can't be divided. So only 1 and 137 divide into 137, no other numbers. So it's the 33rd prime. And if you write out Genesis, there's two primary ways to decipher. The alphabetic order, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26. The other way is using the alphabetic order but incorporating the rules of numerology. So A still 1, B still 2, C still 3. When you get to J, the 10th letter, you take the numerology of 10. So J becomes 1 plus 0 was 1. You make each letter a single-digit number. So when you get to Z, the 26th letter, it's not 26, it's 2 plus 6 is 8. Manly P. Hall, the Freemason who wrote many texts and shared about certain agendas and societies in the world, he actually shared this knowledge about gematria, the alphabetic order and the rules of numerology, and he told people who read his book to investigate the cipher with the alphabetic order and rules of numerology. He said you might find a lot of things. And the thing is, Genesis, when you use that cipher, sums to 33. So in the beginning with the alphabetic order, which is what Genesis means, sums to 137, the 33rd prime. Genesis is 33. And the thing about that is, if you just write out Genesis with the alphabetic order, and just use the alphabetic order, Genesis sums to 78 instead. The 78th verse of Genesis is Genesis 3:2:2. And that is the verse about knowing good and evil and the eyes and being like God after eating from the tree of life. The 78th verse about the tree of life, which is the physical model for Kabbalah. And that synagogue shooting that just happened, that was the Tree of Life synagogue, and there's a big riddle there with the verse from Genesis 3:2:2. And when you learn this code and you see how this stuff's encoded in the Bible and then used again in these rituals, you see what they're doing. They're working by a system. They're using the Bible almost as if it's a playbook. Mass shooting has gematria of 78, like Tree of Life. And that phrase that God says again and again in Genesis, and God said, that with the alphabetic order, also 78. So don't want to get too numbery, but
yeah, I got a few questions. I'm like a skeptical guy, and I have lots of questions, and I'm just learning about this stuff.
Well, good for you, man. You should be a skeptic.
Yeah. So I'm interested. Like some of the numbers, the numerology, the numbers that match up now are in like English and our modern day words, but like didn't most of our words kind of evolve from older languages in Latin that would like change the number? So wouldn't the numbers be changing over time as languages evolve?
So, good question. Mm-hmm. The alphabets that came before English, such as Hebrew, Greek, Latin, they were all based in this numerical system too. They have numerical systems behind them. And the thing about English being standardized as a 26-letter alphabet, it didn't start as a 26-letter alphabet. It used to have more letters. And over the course of its being spoke in different sects of the world, there were all these different versions of English. People were using 18-letter alphabets up to 30-some letter alphabets. But then, around the same time that the Gregorian calendar was being introduced to the world, the calendar system we're now on, English was being standardized and spread as a 26-letter alphabet with the spellings that we use for most words today throughout the world at the same time. And 26, why 26? I sent you a free copy of my book. You should check it out. Mm-hmm. Read the first chapter, man. You'll learn a lot.
I did. I've had a real busy last 2 days getting doxxed and it's been crazy, but I did start the first few pages, and it's a big book. It's like 800 pages, so I'm backed up on reading.
Sure, you don't have to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
The first chapter is about 15 pages. If you read the first chapter, you'll learn a lot, and if you read about 10 pages into the second chapter, right, you'll know a ton.
I remember I read the part about 26 the bones in the foot or the hand, right? Is that right?
The ankle area,
right?
The
ankle area, yeah.
So anyway, 26. In Kabbalah, in Hebrew, the four-letter name of God from the beginning of Genesis, that name sums to 26. Mm-hmm. In English, the word God is G-O-D. That's the 7th letter, the 15th letter, the 4th. God is 26. And if you write out the word letter, and you use the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, so L's the 12th letter, so you take the numerology of 12, so 1 plus 2 is 3. Does that make sense? L is 3.
What is 3?
L's the 12th letter. If you add 1 plus 2, it sums to 3. So you're taking the numerology. If you do that for each letter, so E's 5, so E's 5. T's the 20th letter, you take the numerology of 20, so 2 plus 0, T becomes 2. If you add up letter in numerology, it's 26, just like God, just like how many letters are in the alphabet. And very special number in tribute to God from Hebrew, where this code originates. So why are these people using this code? In Kabbalah, this is how God created the world. And think about the New World Order playing God over the masses using a system that's supposed to be, how God, to a certain group of people, you have to understand they believe this. I'm not saying that I do or you should or anyone out there should. I'm just saying this is a belief system that's as old as time. And
can you give us some examples of how important it is in Judaism and to famous like rabbis and Jews and stuff?
Well, you could. So here, understand these people are secretive. Here's an article you can look up right now. Type in the secret history of 7-Eleven, the convenience store, and Gematria.
I did a video on this. Did you see it?
I didn't. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. So somebody sent it to me. And I did that. I'll do it again. The secret history of 7-Eleven. And you know what I connected it to? Somebody else sent me a video or an email saying that they had a brand called Goyim. So
yeah,
like
exactly.
Goyim, and then
exactly.
I connected it to this, the secret Jewish history.
Have you seen the shooting from the yoga studio over the weekend? The image that they're putting out in the media for that scene?
No, I haven't seen any coverage of that.
So if you even do a search for it, it probably won't take long to find the picture. But you know how the word yoga is Y-O-G-A? Well, they have up in 3 square windows Y-O-G. You can't see the A, right? And it's backwards. So as you look at the screen, you read it left to right. So it's G-O-Y. They have Goy up at the top of the windows of supposedly where the shooting happened at the yoga studio. But yeah, this article right here, I mean, they're cluing you in. And exactly, you read the article, they got the Goyim products. It's Gematria is their best kept secret. There's a reason they didn't teach us about this in elementary school when we would have had the skills to understand it.
It seems really complicated. Like, doesn't it create a lot of extra work for them to have to like use these numbers in everything they do?
No, it's not that hard to use when you're familiar with the system. It's as simple as basic math. So it might seem complicated, but it's not once you get the hang of it. And they're very repetitive. I mean, they do almost everything by the same set of numbers. For example, viral story tonight. It's about a black male teacher punching a student at a Los Angeles high school. Have you seen this?
No.
This is the viral news tonight in mainstream media. Caught on camera this Friday. Black teacher beats 14-year-old student. Cell phones in the room capture it. And on one hand, people should be going, well, wait a minute. All these children are getting this footage. How about all these school shootings where we never see anything? How come we got all these cameras in this story getting out viral all over the news? But something I've been educating people about for years is how the media is very religious in how they put out propaganda that's meant to make black males look bad, violent, sexual predators, et cetera, et cetera. They work by a very specific code of numbers, and they're 59 and 42. And anyway, the day that this footage was captured was this Friday, which is the day leaving 59 days left in the year. If you write out the word Negro with the alphabet, it's 59. The word slave is 59. The word blues is 59, and a whole lot more to that list. It's not an accident that Motown Records came out in 59, and it's on the 42nd parallel. The only month that sums to 42 in the calendar year is February, Black History Month. It's the awkward month that ends on the 28th day, which is the 59th day of the year. All throughout history, 59 and 42 have been coded again and again on Black history. Rodney King, who was beat in L.A. on March 3rd, 3-3. Rodney King equals 59. His supposed birthday is April 2nd, and he died in a stereotypical way of drowning, another black stereotype, that they can't swim. He died on the day that ended up becoming the anniversary of the Charleston church shooting, which was more racial propaganda, with Dylan Stormroof, the ridiculous character, who ended up in the same jail cell with the cop, Michael Slaggert, I believe, who shot the black man, Walter Scott, in the back. All of these stories have the same numbers coded over them. And this is what I've been showing again and again. How often they do 59 and 42 together.
It seems like there's kind of like a lot of numbers. Like, there's only really like 1 to 100. And there seems to be like a couple numbers in each group of 10 that are like significant.
Sure. So, okay. So I just to make this clear, if you just take the alphabetic order, right? Gematria is about pairing words that have relationships and matching numerical value. If you write out English, if you write out Gematria, and you just use the alphabetic order, they both sum to 74, right? This is a very special number. If you pay attention to how Jews write God, they write it G-D. G-D. G's the seventh letter, D's the fourth. There's this belief that comes from Kabbalah that it's not proper to write out God's full name. That's why you write it G-D. It's like a sign of respect to God. So you get 7-4. Gematria is supposed to be the language of God. But these people, so in Kabbalah, you're taught to learn these things to better understand how God operates. The people who are running the world are using this code, again, to play God. And it's very easy to see how systematic they are when you just observe. I've been doing this every day for 5 years straight, proving my point every single day. But this is the thing, 74, I want people to think about the odds of this. If you write out Jesus, if you write out cross, if you write out gospel, if you write out Messiah, if you write out parables, Jesus spoke in parables, they all sum to 74, all of them. God, 7-4, Jesus, the Son of God. The odds of that being are astronomical. All of those words summing to the same thing. To make my point, if you take the 50 states of the United States, I don't know if you were like me. When I was a child, I used to wonder where the names of the states come from because it's actually a secret. Most people don't know where the names of most of these.
A lot of them are Indians, right?
Some of them are.
Yeah.
All sorts of things. But people don't see the rhyme or reason or where a lot of the names came from. Out of all 50 states, only one sums to 74 using the alphabetic order. So 1 in 50. And that happens to be the 33rd state. Think about Jesus in light of that number being coded on Jesus. Jesus in 33. You know, most people understand what the connection is. So what are the odds that the 33rd state, which is Oregon, which is responsible for massive westward migration, Oregon, the 33rd state's the only that sums to 74. Now, if you took the English alphabet and you wrote out every word and you just looked for words that sum to 74 using the alphabetic order, this one very simple intuitive cipher. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, up to Z is 26. If you did every single word, the percentage of a word summing to 74 is around 1%, so about 1 in 100. So we just said Jesus, cross, Messiah, gospel, parables, all sum to 74, and would you agree that all of those words have a relationship?
Yeah, there's similarities in the words. Yeah, they're all connected.
Jesus, Messiah, gospel,
Cross,
parables. They're all related. Jesus spoke in parables. The gospel's the story of Jesus' life. Yeah. He died on the cross. He was Messiah, at least to some.
Is there programs online where you can like type in one word and then it shows you every other word that is somehow connected via a Gematria connection?
Well, so in the Gematria databases that exist in this world, like Gematrix.org, which has been up for years, what it does is it just pairs words. Like if you go to Gematrix.org, which is not the best website to use, and you type in a word, it'll give you 3 numerical values. One is the alphabetic order. One is the alphabetic order times 6. So A is 6, B is 12, C is 18. And then the other cipher it'll give you is called Jewish Gematria, which is based on the Latin order of the English letters, because a lot of the English letters just came straight from Latin. Pretty much all of them did. But they used to be in a different order. So Jewish Gematria is using the Latin order of the English letters. For example, in Jewish Gematria, Tisha B'Av sums to 911. That's to remember the destruction of the 2 temples, a lot like the 2 towers on 911. Tisha B'Av equals 911 in Jewish Gematria. In Jewish Gematria, false flag also sums to 156. 911 is the 156th prime number. There's a whole lot more to that, but I'm just letting you know, if you go to that website that shows that cipher, all 3 of those ciphers are relevant.
Is this all stuff that you've like discovered on your own, or is this like stuff that you have found elsewhere and just like kind of collected it, in your arsenal?
I mean, 95% of the stuff that I've shared, I've discovered personally. About 5% is people who learned from me and then said, "Hey, Zach, look at this great discovery I made." And I said, "Wow, that's awesome, man. I never noticed that before." So, probably 1 out of 20 things that I've revealed to the world is actually somebody who learned from me and then brought back another important additional find. And some of those people have been young people like in the high school system who followed me for years, which is really cool.
So is this a way that they use to like secretly decode the Talmud and the Kabbalah and the Bible and even the New Testament and everything? So have you put out like analysis of secrets decoded in the Bible? What's a cool one you could share with us?
Sure. So there's just so many cool things in the Bible. I started to tell you at the beginning about, the tribute to Kabbalah within Genesis and why the 78th verse is about the tree of life, the physical model from Kabbalah. But a lot of people listening are probably Christian and they're familiar with the New Testament. Have you read the beginning of Matthew?
I don't know what the beginning of Matthew is off the top of my head, but maybe it's a story I've heard before. I grew up going to church and did pretty well in Bible school as a kid.
Okay, so if you open to Matthew 1:1, you'll see that there's 42 names in a row. 42 names in a row, right? And
is that all the lineages of Noah?
To Jesus.
To Jesus.
Yep, up
Okay.
to Jesus. Later in Luke, there's a different lineage, which is 77. And both numbers are interesting. We already talked a bit about 77. The word Christ is 77, so there's a different lineage in Luke. But if you go to the beginning of Matthew 1:1, it begins with how Jesus, the 42 generations up to Jesus. Those are footnotes that you're looking at. You need the actual verses.
Whoops.
So just like search Matthew 1, and then we should be able to just search look at the opening paragraph and just look at all the names.
All right.
New International Version, King James Version, it won't matter.
Okay.
So this is the genealogy to Jesus. So this is a genealogy of Jesus the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac. Isaac, the father of Jacob. There ends up being 42 generations there, right? This is the beginning of the New Testament. If you write out the word new with the alphabetic order, N is 14, E is 5, W is 23. 14 plus 5 plus 23 is 42, right? If you write out New Testament and you take the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, New Testament is 42. 42 generations to Jesus. What I teach people, when I began this research, I taught two ciphers because they were the two I know that I learned from Manly P. Hall's book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. He reveals the alphabetic order and the alphabetic order with rules of numerology, and I was able to do.
Is that where you got Truth Seekers? I saw when I brought him up, it said something Truth Seeker he was affiliated with, and that's.
So what's funny is he does use that phrase, but that's not where I got that from. Where I got Truth Seeker from is a radio host out of Georgia that I listened to when I was a teenager, named Mike Malloy. That's what he says at the beginning of all of his.
That's one of my friends growing up was named that, but he's not on the radio though.
Yeah, Mike Malloy's about 40 years older than us, but that was his line, and I like that. So I stuck with it. I like the Truth Seeker.
Okay, so here's another question. Do like linguistic experts, like PhDs and professors and like language people, what do they say about Gematria? Do they dismiss it as conspiracy, or what's their take on it?
Well, I have all sorts of people that follow me. I mean, I've never had anybody come and try to debate me and discredit my work, and I've always welcomed the debate. Mm-hmm. But I have plenty of people who follow me who are doctors, lawyers, dentists, teachers. So
are there other Gematria people out there that are sharing the same information, or maybe you guys disagree on some like aspects of Gematria?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So if you go to gematrinator.com, there's a man named Derek. He has a channel, Gematrinator 85. He found my work, I think, about 2 years ago. Maybe it's been more than 2 years. I've lost track of time. I've been doing this nonstop since 2013. But he came across one of my videos showing how sports is rigged. And at first he thought it was a joke. So he set out to disprove me, but then he realized that, wait a minute, he's right. And he got so passionate about it, he ended up building this website that's really helped revolutionize the research. It's made it, when you had Marty Leeds on, he was making fun of that website.
Of the sports website?
No, gematrinator.com. That's the Gematria calculator website.
Mm-hmm. So what does he say? What did he say was wrong with it? The way it adds up is wrong, or I feel like.
What did Marty say is wrong with it?
Yeah, I remember I asked him because somebody at one point put a bunch of my names in a Gematria, and that they were like making connections, and he said that he didn't disagree with that, and that some people like kind of overdo the association some, but I don't remember.
Here, go to the website, and I'll show you what Marty Leeds is saying.
Okay, is this it?
No, you have to go to, so it's oh, that's it. So click the tools there where it says, that's the website. Go to tools and then calculator. Okay, so Marty Leeds says that none of these ciphers are real, which is comical because Marty Leeds So there's books out there people can look up. There's a book called The Divine Triangle by Faith Giovanni. Faith Giovanni. And she introduces that dark blue cipher that you see on the screen. She wrote an entire book about that cipher. And it's probably, I haven't read it for a while, it's probably about 150, 170 pages long. In that book, she reveals that there's over 100 ciphers in use in the English language. The cipher that she introduced, the dark blue one, is the same one that Manly P. Hall said is the cipher people should get to know. The dark green cipher, that
reduction?
one you're pointing, that's the one. It's also known as Pythagorean Gematria because it just recognizes the numbers 1 through 9, which Pythagoras said were so important. Pythagoras was supposedly into this study big time, and the Freemasons are very much into Pythagoras. So just out of all those ciphers on the screen, from left to right, the dark green cipher is the alphabetic order. So no more news where it says 175. That's the alphabetic order. The dark blue cipher is the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. The reverse alphabetic order is just making Z1 and counting back to A is 26, just going in reverse. And the cipher to the right is the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. Do me a favor, type in new real quick, N-E-W. So with the alphabetic order, new's 42. Now type in New Testament. 42. So those are your two ciphers that are recommended by the Freemason who put a little bit of this out there. Type in the word Freemason. I'm sure you've heard about 42 before, right?
If you would ask me, is that a significant number, I wouldn't have said yes, but I think you may have said it earlier today, right?
A lot of people know a lot about 42. It's a curious number in the world. In The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the movie, there's a computer called Deep Thought. Type in Deep Thought. This computer in the movie comes up with this phrase that 42 is the meaning of all of life. You see how Deep Thought's 42 when you flip the alphabetic order around? There's a whole lot of 42 coded into that film. Now, the joke is math. Type in the word math. With the alphabetic order, math is 42. And notice the 66 as well when you flip around the alphabetic order. Type in New Testament again and look at the values. And think about how the New Testament begins with Matthew. The 66th book of the Bible is the end of the New Testament. The New Testament begins with the 42 generations to Jesus. It ends with the 66th book. And the thing about the 66th book is, okay, type in the word Revelation, and then I'll make this point. Type in Revelation. You see how Revelation sums to 121 with the alphabetic order?
Yes.
That number has a square root of 11, right? A square root of 11. If you add 1 through 11 together, it sums to 66, like how Revelation's the 66th book of the Bible, like how 11's the master number. Part of the meaning of 11 being the master number comes from Kabbalah and the Tree of Life. We just had the Tree of Life shooting with 11 killed. There's Sephiroth on the Tree of Life. The hidden and most sacred is the 11th. The Bible has everything to do with the old world ancient mystery religions, including Kabbalah. Notice also how Revelation's 49, and what we're told is the most pure cipher by multiple authors. The square root of 49 is 7, and if you've ever read Revelation, it's full of 7. 7 seals, 7 trumpets, 7-headed beast, and on and on and on.
So who do you think wrote the Bible and coded all this? And didn't it used to be, it was originally written in another language, so how would all these numbers be able to translate over so perfectly when, like, Hebrew is nothing near English?
Okay, so there's a lot of overlap with the values of Hebrew words and English words. The Old Testament, the Jewish portion of the Bible, is written in Hebrew and Aramaic, and both of those alphabets were letters and numbers. They were counting systems as well as used for language and spoken words. So the same thing is true in Aramaic. The same thing is true in Greek. The Greeks wrote the New Testament. The Greeks wrote the Christian section of the Bible. And the Greeks practiced something called isopsephy, which is the same thing as gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. And if you study the Greeks and isopsephy, this was just part of their culture, writing these numerical rituals. Revelation 13:18, which is about calculating the number of the beast, 666. If you type in number of the beast, if you write that in, you'll notice it sums to 66, like how it comes from Revelation 13:18, the number of the beast. That's a Greek isopsephy riddle on the screen.
Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that before, right?
So hold on. Where's my? Oh yeah, I've heard of the 666. So what if we do like devil?
So devil has gematria of 52, which is so type back in devil. I can tell you things about Satan and devil.
Okay.
So okay, you see how devil sums to 52?
Mm-hmm.
Type in the word Kabbalah, and this is how you spell Kabbalah: Kabbalah. You see how in our base ciphers here, Kabbalah is 52? Notice how with the alphabet, the dark green cipher on the left, it's 38.
Mm-hmm.
Just using the Hebrew alphabetic order, the word Kabbalah is also 38. Type in the word Jew. We'll come back to 52, but I just want you to see Jew.
38.
Notice the 43 as well. Type in Florida.
But these are all like just kind of random things.
No, they're not. So
Florida's kind of like, where did that come from?
Florida's the most Jewish state in the nation outside of Brooklyn, New York. They're the state that has all these false flags by the numbers, like that one that we can't talk about that was in the very Jewish neighborhood where you got the son of the FBI agent calling out saying he's going to outlive all the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Right now,
if you talk about that one and you disagree, you don't trust the mainstream, they censor they take down your videos. Is that what got your last channel booted?
Well, I've had like 5 channels deleted over that shooting, but that was it was the spokesperson was Sheriff Israel. It was a neighborhood that was over 80% you know who. So anyway, right now in your yoga shooting, they have the word Goy on the screen. Now, here's what I want you to think about with Florida. So we were talking about 52. I don't mean to jump around too much, but about Florida and 43, type in Yale for me. Type in Yale. So for people who were alive, George W. Bush, the 43rd president who went to Yale Skull and Bones, the election came down to Florida, which equals 43, where his brother Jeb was the 43rd governor and where his father was the 43rd.
Jeb isn't 43, though.
No, his name doesn't equal 43. But I could tell you about all those numbers up there. There's a whole lot to it. Here, type in Bush. You see how Bush is 58? Type in George W. Bush. Type in George W. Bush. Also 58. If you look at how many...
This seems like it would be just like impossible to,
no, it's
to
not,
have
though.
all of this stuff happen, to all like be matching with numbers. It seems like a lot of extra work for people to do.
It's very simple. Look, if you look at how many electoral votes George W. Bush got, he got 271 electoral votes. That's the 58th prime number. Type in Freemasonry.
Oops.
You missed there you go. Freemasonry. Type in Rosicrucian. Freemasonry was born out of the Rosicrucian order. That's
spell that one right.
R-O-S-I-C-R-U. Get an I in there. C-R-U-C-I-A-N.
C-I-A-N.
Rosicrucian. This is what modern Freemasonry was born out of. Type in secret society.
Okay, what number am I remembering right now to match up with?
We're looking at 58 each time.
58.
Bush was 58. George W. Bush was 58.
And then
he won 271 electoral votes, the 58th prime.
And then what's the next one?
Secret society.
58. Wow.
There's a whole lot of 58. This is a really long list. You haven't seen nothing, man. The list goes on forever.
I'm not 58, so does that mean I'm in the clear on this one?
You're on the clear, man.
Maybe if I do... I don't want to put my middle initial. Don't want to dox myself anymore. So here's another question. Trey Smith. Do you know who Trey Smith is? The Christian Zionist YouTuber?
I'm not familiar with that person.
He's pretty big, but he's done he predicted Trump was going to win by saying that he's the 45th president, and the 45th verse of the Bible is talking about Cyrus and rebuilding the temple. So Trump is going to be the Messiah that's going to help him rebuild and stuff. So I was wondering if you had heard about any of that. So he talks about Gematria too, and the Sanhedrin and stuff. He's totally in with all of those temple cultists.
Well, he might be learning from me. I mean, because I've been putting out this stuff for years. Mm-hmm. Type in Solomon's Temple. We're looking at the dark blue cipher, the most pure, where everything keeps landing 58. Freemasonry secrets are in Solomon's temple, right? This is where most of their secrets are. Type in the word tracing board. To become a Freemason, your first 3 levels, you have to go through the 3 tracing boards, which are all based in Solomon's temple. Type in Herod's temple.
How about Illuminati? Oh.
Illuminati has Gematria 48. Freemason sums to 48 in Hebrew and in English. Illuminati means in the light. Freemasonry is the pursuit of light. Herod's temple. H-E-R. Oh, you're checking other things. I can tell you about a lot of different things, man.
Okay. I'm looking for, hold on, Moshiach. Oh my God, is Moshiach 42 and Kushner's 42? Don't tell me that. Oh, okay, never mind, 33. All right, sorry.
Okay, so here, I'll tell you something about Kushner, though. I'll tell you something about Kushner. You see how there's an S in the word?
Mm-hmm.
So S is the 19th letter. Very special letter. Notice it looks like the serpent, right? The S looks like the snake. Mm-hmm. Snake starts with S. Serpent starts with S. Satan starts with S. S is the 19th letter. 19 is the only letter you have to add together 2 times. It's the only letter you have to add together 2 times to get to a single digit. So S is 19. In numerology, 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. S can be 1 or 10. Click on the ciphers tab up there. See where it says ciphers? Click there. You see where it says single reduction, that lighter blue beneath the dark blue?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Click that box. Now come back down and look at Kushner. Oh, you took his name away. Type Kushner now.
39 is added? That's what happened?
He has a 42. That's the number you were looking
42.
for.
42. I know, but it's like if there's so many different ciphers, it's like you're.
But this is based
if you
on the
look
rules
long
of
enough,
numerology.
you'll eventually find something. You know that's what the naysayers are easily going to say when they look at stuff like this.
So we just covered how Freemasonry, Secret Society, Solomon's Temple. If you type in Herod's Temple, it's 58. If you type in Third Temple, it's 58. Herod's Temple, 58. If you type in Third Temple, no, not like that.
Oh.
Write the word third.
No abbreviations in Gematria. Got it.
It won't make a difference.
58.
Oh, that one. Third Temple.
Yeah.
This year, Tisha B'Av upcoming, August 11th, 2019, from Trump's birthday, who's the winner of the 58th U.S. presidential election, who announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower, who hired the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day, who has his head right now on the side of a coin, a shekel. Get rid of that cipher that we just put up with the single reduction, so you just have 4 up there. Type in the word shekel. The shekel for Trump with the Third Temple went on sale on the 102nd day of the year. The 102nd day of the year, April 12th, that shekel went on sale. Trump's face, King Cyrus's face, to raise money for the Third Temple. Mm-hmm. From Trump's birthday next year to August 11th, 2019, the day of Tisha B'Av, to remember the destruction of the 2 temples, is 58 days later. And August 11th, 2019 will be a date with 58 numerology. 8 plus 11 plus 20 plus 19. 58. Trump's done so many rituals in accordance with this number. Very special number to this gang. And a lot of Masonry's rituals conducted around this number. Again, it's not an accident that Trump announced he was running for the 58th U.S. presidential election. Go back. I want to show you something about this real quick.
Okay. I was getting the guy in my video that said 58.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Okay.
Type in what happened in the line and notice the 58. And as I explain this, Trump announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower. He hired the 58-year-old for Steve Ray for Inauguration Day. It was the 58th
Who is Steve Ray? I don't know who Steve Ray is.
Steve Ray was a baseball announcer in Washington, D.C. It was a big deal because the same man had done the inauguration going back decades, and he was ready to do it, and Trump got rid of him, and they had a story in the media about how the guy was depressed because he was looking forward. It's the big thing in his life. He's an older man. He loves doing the inaugurations. Trump wanted to get rid of him for the 58-year-old Steve Ray. And around that same time, Hillary put out her book about why she lost the election called What Happened. And it's not an accident that sums to 58.
You don't think it was just her trying to explain why she lost? Like, what happened?
No, the whole thing is a rigged joke. I have a video from February 2016 about why it makes the most sense for Donald Trump to be the next president in light of what's going on in the world.
Is it because he's the one that's going to help them rebuild the temple, is what I thought.
Sure, and he's the order out of chaos
candidate.
Freemasonry, they have a motto, order Ordo ab Chao, which means order out of chaos. You know, he creates chaos. He's a divisive person. He's unapologetic. He pisses people off. Some people love him. He's got the nation polarized, and that's not by accident. And, you know, Trump became the magnet of the media in 2015 when he announced he was running. I mean, the camera never came off him. If a big thing happened in the world, we heard from Donald Trump on all the mainstream media outlets before we even heard from the sitting president. And that's not an accident. So, look, we're skipping around a bit. There's a lot more I could have showed you about numbers 52 and 58 in regards to Freemasonry and the history of Washington, D.C. Go back to the cipher. I want to show you something about Donald Trump. You can look this up. It's all a fact. Donald Trump's GOP convention began July 18th, 2016 in Cleveland, Ohio. And what I pointed out before it even happened is that from that day to Inauguration Day, January 20th, 2017, was a span of 187 days. And July 18th can be written 18/7. Type in the name George Washington.
This is like I'm getting put on the spot here. Is that how you spell George? Yep.
That's right. That's right. George Washington. You see how it's 187? This number. Just delete the George and write Washington, D.C. Try Washington, D.C.
137.
See the 187 when you flip the alphabetic order around? The 137 is important too because that's the 33rd prime. Federal's 33, Masonry's 33, Secrecy's 33, Order's 33, all in that dark blue cipher. Morals and Dogma, which has a statue in D.C., the Masonic Bible that says all thanks. Type in Morals and Dogma. That's a statue of Albert Pike in D.C. He's holding his book, Morals and Dogma. It's 137 too. In that book, it says Freemasonry owes all thanks to Kabbalah. Remember, in Hebrew, Kabbalah sums to 137. Type in the beginning.
Didn't Pike write in Morals and Dogma that Freemasonry is based upon the rituals of the Kabbalah?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And Kabbalah is 137 in Hebrew. Very special number. Again, if on Gematria, if you click a number, so if you click that 137 on the screen, it'll pull up a smaller window, and it'll tell you if it's prime. Yes, it's the 33rd. If you go back to that calculator and type in Masonry, Secrecy, Order, Federal, you'll see that they all sum to 33 in our dark blue cipher, our most primary, just like how Genesis is 33 in that cipher, and in the beginning, which means Genesis, is 137 using the alphabetic order. So these are the two ciphers I studied forever, just these two, and I saw how many meaningful observations there were. Here,
let's do the ones that you did the other day. I want to show those people those ones. Because I'll tell you right now, I know 100% it's a coincidence, but let's show this connection that we found. Right? What was it? No more news?
Okay, no more news.
58?
Right.
Right? This is the most important one, you said, Manly P. Hall?
Right.
And my GDL. Well, that's a
58.
reverse, though.
Right.
That's a reverse. Okay, and then the other one was handsome. Check it out, guys. So handsome truth and no more news both equal 58. This is what Zach discovered the other day. So when I saw you do this, it gave me the creeps. I was like, oh my god. But
well, isn't it strange though that you went to Jerusalem and the best artifact that you have is interviewing a shopkeeper, and right in the beginning he says he's 58 years old.
Yeah, here, let's show that. Oops, that's not what I want. Yeah, but, you know, I was walking through the streets of Hebron, and just this guy just started talking to us, and I just turned the camera on and turned it on. It's not like, you know, this guy probably just is, what he said, he's 58 years old? It's a weird thing to say, though. I understand why that would get you thinking, because why would he even say how old he is? Here it is.
Right.
Hey. I just created a Wix website.
But I just don't know what to tell you because I don't know this guy. It just happened to be turn on the camera and,
I can add anything I want.
It's just a crazy coincidence. Some days you win the lottery, I guess, or it lands on your thing in Vegas. This is a Palestinian shopkeeper's message to the world. This is Hebron.
But we are strong, and we got used to all this, and we are determined to stay. We are not going to give up as long as we live, because this is our homeland, and we grown up in these stores. I came down here when I was 7 years old. I'm 58. I'm already grandfather. And we want you
He's
to
just
do
58, man. He's just 58. This is a shopkeeper in Palestine. If in order for all this to be a conspiracy, imagine all the stuff like this is an actor and we did all this just so we can hide a code. You know, it doesn't really make sense.
So what's interesting is there's an organic side to this code. You guys are the Goyim Defense League. In history, there's something called the Jewish Defense League. And the founder of that died at age 58. He was murdered. He was assassinated at age 58.
Yeah, they were a terrorist group, though. We don't mirror them. We're more of the inverted ADL, exposing them as the racist supremacists.
Sure. So what I'm saying is, if you go to a bookstore or a library and you search the numerology section, you'll find a book. And multiple books are written about this, but it'll teach you to do that cipher, the dark blue one, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. And it'll say that there's certain numbers in people's lives that are hidden in their birth numerology. They're hidden in their names. And I haven't checked Goyim Defense League. That's really funny, too.
It's not 58. I feel like I'm in the clear now. Or else, if that was 58, I was just going to probably retire because everyone and their mom would think I was a shill.
Oh, so anyway, there's an organic side. And this number 58 is so important to this gang. And it seems like, for whatever reason, you settled on this name that somehow has this great irony in history, in spite of, especially in light of the fact that the founder of the Jewish Defense League was murdered at age 58. And trust me, there's so much history to prove how relevant this is. For example, King James was a Rosicrucian and a Freemason. He dropped dead at age 58. Again, Freemasonry 58, Rosicrucian 58, secret society. If you type in biblical, you'll see it's 58. A lot of things in the Bible are related to this number 58. The way to prove the relevance of this code is just to see how repetitive things are by these numbers. Like, for example, yesterday, part of the reason I have a big following is because I've called so many things in sports since before they happened. It's why USA Today wrote an article tearing me a new asshole, trying to make fun of me because in that year, speaking of the number 58, I had shown how the entire Super Bowl 50 from October on would be scripted around the number 58, why the Broncos would beat the Carolina Panthers, why number 58 would be Von Miller defeating Cam Newton. Look at this. For people out there, you can look up the article. Just type in Zachary K. Hubbard, USA Today. It'll come up. It was written by Bleacher Report, their sports section, or not Bleacher Report, whatever their sports section's called. The Big Lead, I think, is what it's called.
USA Today, you said?
Yeah. So they wrote an article slandering me and making me look bad and minimizing what I had done and not really showing the clear picture of just how much I had exposed. In October of that football season, before Super Bowl 50, I said why it would be Broncos over Carolina Panthers, why Cam Newton would become the 58th quarterback to start in a Super Bowl, why Von Miller, number 58, who was drafted one pick after him, would be the MVP and the Broncos would win, why it would be a tribute to Super Bowl 24 and how there would be a story about the Black Panther Party being connected, which came true. All of those things came true. The Broncos won the game with 24 points. Von Miller was the MVP.
Look at this. They admit that Gematria is real. So it's like they say that they make fun of you, but they admit that it's real here.
Exactly, just like that 7-Eleven. If you go back to that 7-Eleven article and copy the author's name, take his surname and put it in the post, it sums to 117, 11-7. Even I could tell you so much, man. I could show you articles written about me and how even the authors' names are coded to make fun of what's in the writing. If you go to the bottom of this article, the last paragraph links The Simpsons. It's The Simpsons episode. My videos used to be here, but because this channel is deleted, none of these videos exist. It was nice that they featured my work. It helped me get a lot more following.
I bet.
But the last paragraph has a link to The Simpsons, their song that was nominated for a Grammy about the stonecutters, which are, alluding to the Freemasons. And he was making fun of me because I'm showing how Freemasonry is responsible for the coding behind American sports. And if you research all the American sports, they're credited to Freemasons. And again, this code of letters and numbers is Masonic because it comes from Kabbalah.
So is this every game in professional sports is rigged with this final score? Or
so anybody who doubts that right now, you can go sign up for my Patreon page. And I'll tell everybody about my Patreon. If you sign up for it, you don't get billed till the first of the month. So you could hang around through the whole month. You could watch my sports picks. And if you could cancel before the first, you won't get charged a single dollar. I promise you that's true. But you can go watch the picks I did yesterday. I had my worst week actually this year, which wasn't so bad. But one pick I said I guarantee is going to happen is Drew Brees will beat the Rams today. It'll be the first win against the Rams, just like it was in 2001. The first team they lost to was the Saints. And the reason I knew that the Saints would win was because of the numbers 45 and 9. And lo and behold, the Saints won with 45 points. And I do this week after week after week after week.
The obvious question would be, you must be making a fortune in gambling and like a fantasy football king if you're able to decode the scores.
Well, I'm in Washington State, which has the most online restrictions against gambling. I'm under the watchful eye. I've had the state audit department come to my house. I've been arrested in my own front yard. I've had the FBI come to my house. So what I do is I put out the knowledge and
Why did the FBI come to your house? What was their problem?
So on August 21st of this year, the FBI came to my house and falsely accused me of saying, I don't even want to say it out loud because they could. The false accusation was that somewhere online I had been captured saying, let's get our guns and kill the Jews. And I laughed when the FBI came into my house and told me that because I said, I've never said that. And they said, oh, he had his phone on him. He goes, oh, I got it right here on my phone. And I said, okay, let's hear it. So he starts tinkering around with his phone. And he did show me that he was an FBI agent and left his business card. And I actually have a video calling up the FBI station to make sure that he was a real FBI agent. But he starts tinkering around in his phone. He's like, oh, I thought I had it here. He's like, hold on, it's on this website. So then he goes to this website. He's like, oh, I thought I had that website. I was like, so you're coming to my house. You're accusing me of saying, let's get our guns and kill the Jews. And you have no evidence that I said that. He goes, well, I have it. I thought it was on here. And he goes, I can go back to the office and get it and come back. I said, you don't need to come back. I said, if you find the audio clip, you can send it to me. So later that day, hours later, he sends me an email, and it was a link of me speaking online for about 15 minutes, and nowhere in the clip did I say anything like that. I didn't say, let's get our guns. I didn't say, let's kill anybody. I didn't say, let's kill the Jews. None of those statements were made. And it just seemed that it was just the FBI, the latest. And keep in mind, this just happened right after I reestablished my YouTube channel. I took after getting channel number 17 deleted and not being able to start a new channel because I needed a new phone line and seemingly a new IP address, I took a break. I came back in July under a new IP, under a new account name. That's what my latest channels, these got started mid-July. And shortly after that, I had the FBI knocking on my door, falsely accusing me of that. So...
interesting. Well, I played college basketball. I've showed off some of my highlights on the video before. I don't know if you've seen them, but it's hard for me to imagine that all of these athletes that just have the biggest egos in the world and care so much about, their status and how much money they're making, how well they play. I can't imagine all of these athletes it even being possible for them to have a predetermined coded outcome for the Super Bowl or something. You can't control them making the free throw at the end of the game.
Yeah, you can. Absolutely. My followers are aware of it because now they laugh. Now they can tell when they're intentionally missing the free throw to stay at the point.
Okay, you can intentionally miss, but what if you're down one and the score...
Technology. They're using technology in these games to ensure outcomes. Have you seen this Globetrotter Bull Bullard, what he's done the last 2 years in August?
No.
What is last year on his first try, he made a basketball from on his first shot, he made it from hundreds of feet up in the air out of a helicopter. As a basketball player, I'm a basketball player too. Do you think you could nail the shot the first time out of the helicopter hundreds of feet above the basket?
No, I've seen on YouTube people trying crazy trick shots, but they usually try a million times.
Exactly. So imagine doing it the first time from a helicopter. This year, his trick was one up. This year, he was in a small Cessna plane doing a low flyover on a runway. And from, 40, 50 feet above, flying out of a plane, he shoots it and drains the ball the first try.
Well, that could be a magic trick. But you're saying that, that there's some type of technology that's like a tractor beam having a basketball go through the basketball net at the end of the game if they need it? I just can't imagine how this works.
Some sort of technology. I don't know if it's advanced magnetics. I don't know if it's drone technology. They're using something to ensure outcomes. I can't tell you how many times I've called the score of a game before it happened, college and pro. Too many. I tell people, it's not that just that I'm picking the games right. I'm telling people what the numbers are. So last night, like LeBron James, I told people, last night I won a bunch of people. I win people money every single day in the world of sports. I gave people 2 solid picks. If you took the parlay, it would quadruple your money. I said why the Pacers would win, why the Lakers would win. And they won by the numbers that I talked about before the game. For example, let's just talk about LeBron James. I won people tens of thousands of dollars in the 2016 NBA Finals. You don't know how much money I've won for people, man. Tons. Because I've guaranteed so many things. I won't always guarantee in sports, but sometimes I will guarantee when I can see the riddle very clearly. And if you follow my work, I mean, people who are on my Patreon, I'll say, like, I'd stay away from this game because this narrative's floating here. This game I really like. Like, I really like the Saints because of 45-9 today. The Saints won with 45 points. Not an accident. But LeBron James, here's what I told people in 2016. A lot of things lined up that year for the Cavs to win the championship, and I showed how Game 7 was scheduled for the real King James's birthday. The real King James, who has a Bible named after him. King James became a king at 13 months of age. That was LeBron's 13th season. And what a lot of people don't know is the Cavaliers, who he played for, are named after King Charles. King Charles was the son of King James. The people who fought and supported King Charles were Cavaliers. So now you have this player, LeBron James, King James, playing on the Cavs. Most people don't see the riddle. When I saw how the NBA Finals lined up that year, that was part of the reason I was locked in for the Cavs to win. There were some other riddles too.
Yeah, a lot of people are predicting the Cavs are going to win because LeBron's like one of the best players in the NBA and always goes to the finals.
Not over that Warriors team after they just got dusted the prior year in the NBA
that's
Finals.
right. Yeah, okay, yeah.
And by the way, I called that Finals too from early in the season, and everyone said I was wrong. I wasn't. Dude, I've called so many sports championships, man. So listen, and they've all been by the exact numbers I've talked about. I've even called how many points LeBron's going to score in certain nights because it's so clear. There's certain numbers that are used very ritualistically. So last night, okay, first of all, when LeBron James was down 3-1 in the 2016 NBA Finals, everyone was making fun of me. They said, nobody's ever come back. It's not going to happen. You're wrong. You guaranteed it all year. I said, look at the odds right now, you guys. It's over 40-1 to bet on the Cavs to come back. I said, you want to make some money? Take this bet. LeBron's coming back and he's winning on the real King James' birthday. Well, a lot of people took that bet. And it's too bad my channel's deleted because we could go to that old video and look at all the comments. Dude, you just won me $50,000. You just won me $60,000. I'm getting a brand new Jeep. I'm getting a brand new truck. I'm getting a bet. And I don't want to help people buy all this crap that just goes back to the gang. But all these people were ecstatic because they've been following my work. They'd seen how many things I got right. They saw the recognition by the USA Today. They saw how I was calling news stories before it happened. You know, so people were invested in my work.
Do you see this in more than one sport, or is it like across the board, all the pro sports?
I do it for all the sports, man. Do it for all the sports.
What about Olympics? Is there?
The Olympics are scripted this way. I was getting huge views 2016 Summer Games. The biggest views I was getting consistently. Every video I do on the Summer Olympics, huge views. People were into that. The world of sports is scripted. They're farming these athletes. So look. LeBron James last night against the Blazers. You can look at how many shots. These games are scripted from the final score to the box score. You played junior college basketball. You didn't play Division I. You didn't play in the NBA. These guys, most of them in the league, have fathers or parents that were in the world of entertainment or athletics. Nearly all of them. LeBron James is the son of Nate Thurmond. People don't know that, but it's obvious that he is. He played for the Cavs and Warriors. He died 27 days after LeBron scored 27 in Game 7, winning it on the real King James's birthday. Nate Thurmond had the number 42, retired for the Warriors and Cavs. The name LeBron James equals 42. Number stamped all over black history. The name Jackie's 42. We just saw the death of the black baseball player right after the World Series, after the Dodgers got worked 42 weeks after his birthday, and a whole lot more. Anyway.
I've never heard this LeBron's dad thing, but...
That is, man. They have the same hairline, the same head shape. They're born in the same hospital in Akron, Ohio. Steph Curry's born in that hospital as well. The name Steven means crown. It's all about the king. People don't get that with the Warriors and the Cavs. It's all about the king. The name Steven's crown. But the world of sports is a father-son league. I've been showing for years how Archie Manning will be synced up with significant games for Peyton and Eli Manning. And it happens again and again. Part of the reason that I knew that the Lakers would win last night is because Luke Walton is the son of Bill Walton. Luke Walton coaches the Lakers, His dad, Bill Walton, who played for the Lakers as well, won the only championship ever for the Blazers in the 76-77 season. From Luke Walton's birthday last night to the game, there's two ways to look at this. You can measure from the birthday to later. From Luke Walton's birthday to the game last night was 7 months and 6 days, or it was his 7th month and 7th day of his age, like how his father won it for the Blazers in the 76-77 season. The name Walton in Gematria equals 77. The Blazers also beat the 76ers in the 76-77 season. When you pay attention, the numbers are in front of your face. But anyway, the bigger clue besides Luke Walton, the coach of the Lakers, who's nearly the same age as LeBron, the bigger clue was that LeBron was, okay, here's what you need to know. If you go back to the Gematrinator calculator where I was having you type in words, if you type in Holy Bible, you'll see that in the two reduction ciphers, the alphabetic order and the rules of numerology forwards and backwards, if you type in Holy Bible, it sums to 45. Okay? King James had the Holy Bible come out in his name in the year 1611, the year he turned 45 years old. 45, right? If you type in Gutenberg, that's the first printed Bibles. If you type in Gutenberg, it's 45 forwards and backwards. Not two T's, one T in Gutenberg.
Okay. Hey, let's read it. Looks like we have a bunch of super chat questions, so let's try to get
go
through
ahead,
these.
go ahead,
We've been ignoring them the whole. Sometimes I literally forget that super
While
chat's
you're doing that, I'll
even
just
a
say
thing.
this out loud about LeBron's ritual. He was going to improve his team from 3-5 to 4-5. King James equals 35. The Lakers won 35 games last year, not by accident before they got King James. King James became a Freemason at age 35. These numbers are huge throughout LeBron's career. Last night, the Lakers picked up their 119th win all time against the Blazers. King James Bible equals 119. Again, Holy Bible's 45. LeBron becomes 4-5. The Lakers pick up their 119th win. The Lakers make 45 shots in doing so. That game was on the day leaving 58 days left in the year, a span of 58 days from LeBron's birthday. King James died at age 58. Again, Freemasonry's 58, Secret Society's 58, Rosicrucian's 58. These numbers are used again and again in rituals with LeBron. And I've educated about that for so long. It's how I can be so confident about certain games because I've just seen the pattern too many times doing this over the years. And LeBron James won with 114 points last night. LeBron James with the alphabetic order sums to 114. He signed with LA exactly 114 days before the 114th World Series. Part of the reason I said the Dodgers were definitely in for the World Series this year. So, and also people who followed me since July, we theorized on why the Boston Red Sox, if they made the World Series, would win in Game 5. I encourage everybody to watch the videos I've put out on sports on that channel in recent weeks and tell me what you think what you're seeing is a coincidence. The reason I have as many Patreon members as people who have 500,000 subscribers is because my work's well proven. I've helped a lot of people win money, wake up. I have a very dedicated audience, and I'm very censored, man. I mean, there's a reason that my channel hasn't rebounded to the number of subscribers I had. It's because I've been deleted so many times, and I've been held down. But let's go to your super chats. I heard you, so sorry for being so long-winded.
No problem. Okay, we have 1 + 1 = you're gay. I shouldn't say that word. You're great. He says 1 + 1, you're great. Okay. They're asking if you prefer. Okay, I'm not gonna read that. Okay.
No, read it, man.
No, I can't. It's not because of you. It's just because it's profane. If a man created religion, how can we trust it to be true? You know, I have my own question. Do these numbers, are they all like coded? Like, did somebody sit there and go, I'm gonna create this word and this thing, and then we're gonna connect this date to it? Is this all planned, or is this just like naturally flowing and like through like the numbers of the universe and like So
there's two answers to that.
Yeah.
There's a natural organic side, absolutely, and I think that's might be what it is for you and Handsome Truth and this GDL thing. Somehow there's already this number associated in the world with the Jewish Defense League. And here you are, the counter to that. This whole study is dualistic. If you write out the word 2 with the alphabetic order is 58. It's a very special number. So it's interesting how it's coded into you guys, and you guys are doing a very special thing. More people in the world need to step up and speak against Zionism. So we've observed all of these organic things, but what becomes obvious is the way the code's manipulated in the media to contrive propaganda. This year, there was a stand your ground case out of Florida. Supposedly, a black man shoved a white guy, walked away, and then the white guy came up behind him and shot him in the back and killed him. And the guy who was killed was called Gaston McLaughlin, right? Gaston McLaughlin. Oh, no, it wasn't Gaston McLaughlin. Gaston Glock is who established Glock handguns. The shooting of this McLaughlin in Florida, I can't remember his full name, but this shooting of McLaughlin was on the actual Gaston Glock's birthday. And if you look at the bizarre name of the man who was shot, whatever his name was, McLaughlin, the way they spelled it has the exact same gematria as stand your ground in multiple ciphers. When we were looking at the base 4 gematria calculator, if you type in words that have relationships, a lot of times they'll have overlap in multiple ciphers. Like witch and broom are the same in all 4 ciphers. Judge and gavel, the same in all 4 ciphers. Glory and power, the same in all 4 ciphers, plus a lot of other things. But they made this name, Gaston, or whatever McLaughlin, on Gaston Glock's birthday that this news supposedly happened, with all the same numbers as stand your ground, which is what the whole story was about. And then right after that, they had a story of a sheriff, or I forget what it was. Somebody got pulled over, and it was another stand your ground thing, and maybe the driver was an Uber driver, and he shot and killed this guy who came up to his window. And they talked about how that guy had been in some sort of police academy training recently. Anyway, that whole story, the names they contrived, it had all the same gematria as stand your ground. And I don't know why I'm even going back months to make this point. That's a really good example to look at, probably is why that came to mind. But every single day when you know this code, you see how they contrive these names and they make these numbers and these stories match up. And again, gematria is this Jewish practice about coding numbers and words that have equal value and names that are words that are associated. It's in tribute to how God's supposed to operate. I mean, wouldn't you agree that the New World Order is trying to play God over the masses?
Yes, I would.
Are you aware of the headline?
They think they're essentially like gods, the chosen ones, and we're subhuman.
So here's something to think about. They're ruling the world with a lie. In Revelation, it names the synagogue of Satan the false Jews who lie. Think about the word lie in light of the word God. They're both 3-letter words, and they both sum to 26, this number that's associated with God, and here we are living in this world of lies. These are the things I first started to look at when gematria came across my plate. It's easy to decode 3-letter words. And
okay, here let's do a few, get through these super chats, because I gotta read them or else people will stop sending them in. They say Ryan says this guy sounds like a delusional shill. Laugh out loud. Ryan again says this guy points out coincidences where none exist. You want to respond to that? You must get that a lot. That there's just like you're cherry picking connections and dismissing the stuff that doesn't match up. What's your response to that?
I don't think so. Anyone who follows me and watches me do the real-time decodes, it's so redundant. We just look at a word and it's like, what do you know? Same numbers that we're always looking at.
These are all from a guy named Ryan. So just to be clear, this one's from Ryan also. A lot of pro Zachary shills in the chat, and he also says he's talking to another chatter. Lycador, you have no videos. You just shared Europa Last Battle video that I agree with. Dokes says, just sent me some money on PayPal, GDL for life. Thank you, Dokes. Okay, somebody says, David Cole, Fred Luker. All right. I'm looking for a good question here. Adam, I'm Lebanese, 100% Semite. I support you exposing terrorism. I can trace my lineage to Shem, while Khazars occupy Palestine. They're the real anti-Semitism. Okay, here's a good one for you. Have you heard of Joseph Atwill's book, Caesar's Messiah, which he says that the Caesars of Rome created Christianity and Jesus? And what's your take on the Bible and religion and Christianity and stuff?
So what's really interesting is the Council of Nicaea. Pull back up the Gematria calculator. I'll show you a question on this in Gematria terms. Okay. The Council of Nicaea supposedly happened in 325 AD. That was in Rome, and that was about getting the Christians who worship the sun to come to an agreement with the Christians who believe the Son of God had come to earth. Mm-hmm. Type in Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. No, rite is R-I-T-E. Like a rite, like a ritual. Mm-hmm. Scottish
I guess
Rite
I just outed
of
myself as
Freemasonry.
not being a member.
Of Freemasonry. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry.
Okay,
That's how they're called. Scottish Rite. It's interesting that Scottish Rite Freemasonry is 137. That's interesting. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. You see how it sums to 325 with the alphabetic order?
Mm-hmm.
The Council of Nicaea was in 325 AD. Type in New Testament again. You see the 159 and 165? Now type in just Scottish Rite. Scottish Rite. The numbers of Freemasonry are coded all over the New Testament, everywhere. Mm-hmm. And isn't it interesting that the Council of Nicaea, which was about, getting people to agree on this man named Jesus, how that happened in 325 AD in light of this overlap. And again, if you type in New Testament, Savior, sin, they all sum to 42, just like Freemason. They all sum to 42 like Freemason. The 42 generations to Jesus. It begins with Matthew. The word math is 42. The Greeks wrote the New Testament. They based their culture in math.
Okay.
Math.
Here, we got some more good questions here. Does Gematria work only with the English language from Anna Reyes?
No, it began in Hebrew. Mm-hmm. It was used in Greek. In Greek, it was known as isopsephy. Revelation 13:18 is a Greek isopsephy riddle. So, it's been used in languages of the past: Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek, Latin, and I'm a typical American. I speak English. I've had people call into my radio show over the years and say, hey, I was just looking at my native Spanish and look at these very interesting synchronicities. But the thing to think about English is it's the language of the world. English is the language that was developed and spread across the world at the same time we were put on this calendar system. And
sorry, I was just showing your show. You mentioned your show. So if people are interested to hear more, they can find you at Gematria Effect, Wednesday, 6 to 9. Free your book, Letters and Numbers, which you just sent me a copy. I look forward to reading some more. Gematria Effect News is where you cover the news, and Gematria Effect Sports for people that want to find you. Here's another question. Oh wait, never mind. That's the end of them. I emailed info that might help with your harassment. Tell me more about when you got censored and some of the harassment that you've been under.
Sure. Well, I've been censored pretty much since I got here. From the very beginning, what people first said when I started is they said, "Man, I've never seen anybody start making videos calling somebody a shill as fast as your channel came around." Because automatically, from early in the days, I had people who would just start making these videos accusing me of being a shill. And it was just like, this is really interesting.
What do they say? What conspiracies do they say about you being a shill? What's their evidence?
They wouldn't have any evidence. They just make some obscure video and say, like, he could only know this if he was a Freemason or a Jew himself. And it's like, okay, let's just say even if I was, which I'm not, I'm still putting out the information so people can understand how it's being used in the world. And something you don't know is from the very first video I made, my first video was based on a prediction. I've been studying this for a year. The first video I made was during the time of the Michael Brown shooting. And I said, just watch when they put out, if you type Darren Wilson, the police officer who shot Michael Brown, if you remember at the time of this story, they didn't put out the police officer's name for over a week. But I said, just watch. When his name comes out, it'll sum to 33. And sure enough, it did. And not only that, but they put out this image of this blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy with a T-shirt with the number 42 on it and the word blues. And this was the officer who, yeah, so here's even that shirt right here. I mean, this was the main image put out of him when he did it. If you find other images, below this shirt it says Blues, like the St. Louis Blues. Mm-hmm. Ferguson's just right outside of St. Louis. But there's a good one right there. Mm-hmm. So that picture, when they put it out, people don't know what's behind that. If you go to Gematria and type in Ferguson, if you type in Missouri, they both sum to 42. If you type out February, it sums to 42, Black History Month. If you type out the N-word, it sums to 42. And there's something really interesting about the way the letters are laid out within the N-word. They code this number 42 again and again and again, as well as 59. Remember the word blues equals 59, like Negro, like slave? They code these two numbers again and again into their racially divisive propaganda. Rodney King equals 59. His birthday's April 2nd. He was beaten on March 3rd, 3-3 by the LAPD. Police equals 33, Masonry 33, Secrecy 33, Order 33, Federal 33, all using our most pure cipher, just that dark blue one of the base 4. The name Darren, the name of this officer, equals 33. And I said, just watch, because it's so consistent in these racially charged narratives with police and black men. It's the number 33 again and again. Today's news tonight about the teacher beating the white child in Los Angeles. The teacher's name sums to 33. The word teacher sums to 33. The name of the school, Maywood, sums to 33. Race war equals 33. It's a certain set of numbers that are used again and again and again in these rituals, and I've been showing this consistently for 5 years.
At any point, do you get tired of like connecting all these numbers together? Because it just seems like it's just everywhere. It could be overwhelming. When I first started hearing about Gematria, it reminded me of a movie that I had seen a number of years ago. Are you familiar with it? It's with Jim Carrey, called 23.
Right, I have seen it.
And it's all about how he sees this Ned. 23 number everywhere, and it starts to really it's like a horror movie. I don't know why this isn't.
Sure. A few years ago, there was a big story of Jim Carrey's girlfriend dying, and I think it was blamed on suicide. Mm-hmm. But I had some work on that. There's this practice called murder by numbers. There's a song by the band The Police who sang Roxanne, Sting. Mm-hmm. They came out with a song in 1983 called Murder by Numbers. It's about how killing people is as simple as A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. The word murder is 83. Mm-hmm. And anyway, this code of murder by numbers is something I talk about so often, so repetitive. People are killed by certain sets of numbers. And it was coded into his girlfriend's name, the character name from that film. It was all the same numbers. I was like, was this movie predictive programming of this story? Is this woman even really dead? Is this just some sort of temporary distraction to have people going, oh, Jim Carrey's girlfriend's dead and kind of mysterious? Because that's what our media does. It always keeps our minds wandering, looking at this, busy with this today, this shooting, this scare.
Here's a question, Zach. In order for all of these numbers to have to come together and connect, to have any significant connection, wouldn't there have to be just agents everywhere making sure that every little thing
Freemasonry is everywhere. Freemasonry is everywhere. Uh-huh. Have you seen the movie They Live? They Live?
Yeah, the old one with the faces, with the skeleton faces.
Sure, and when he looks at words with the glasses, he sees messages behind him that he doesn't otherwise see.
Yeah.
The word they equals 58. Like Freemasonry, like secret society. People say, who are they? Uh-huh. Freemasonry. That's what established this nation. This nation was largely founded by Freemasons.
Yeah.
That and Jewish bankers. This code is theirs. Mm-hmm. I want you to, think about this. It's 1% odds of a word summing to 74 using the alphabetic order. It's about 1%. Again, we said English, Gematria, they both sum to 74. Holidays, 74. Independence Day, 74. Masonic, 74. Jewish is 74. All of these things are 74. 1% odds. They're all related. We're an English-speaking nation. We're founded by Masons. Our birthday's 7-4. All of these things sum to 74. The odds, if you're good at math, 1% times 1% times 1% times 1% times 1%. We've taken two different groupings tonight of 5 words that all sum to 74. The odds of that are astronomical. What is 1% times 1%? That's 1 in 100 times 1 in 100. So
were you good at math? Are you good at math?
Yeah, I'm good at math. That's part of why I figured this out.
Like super good, like genius level at math, like one of those human calculators that can.
Well, I was like a human calculator.
Can you do Rubik's cubes like a savant?
You know what? I've never actually played with a Rubik's cube in my entire life. So. Couldn't tell you how I'm on with the Rubik's Cube. I've never done it.
Okay, cool. I've known people.
Look at this, man. Let's just do some math real quick. Yeah. We have Jesus, cross, Messiah, gospel, parables. There's another set of these 5 and 74. 1% times 1% is 1 in 100 times 1 in 100. That is what is 1 in 100 times 1 in 100? It's 1 in 10,000. Times 1 in 100 again is what? It's 1 in 10,000 times 100. So now you're getting to a really big number. Mm-hmm. Times 1 in 100 again is an even bigger number. Times 1 in 100 again is an even bigger number. So we're talking about astronomical odds for these things to just coincidentally line up. And are you understanding the point that I'm making?
Yeah. The chances. It's kind of it reminds me, even though it's not the same, of people who argue evolution and natural selection. The odds of like a cell just naturally coming together, it's just like astronomical chances.
Right. So it shows that there's a purpose. And then when you realize just all the other things that are related that have these numerical values, it becomes even more astronomical. And when you see how often these numbers are used in rituals, you go, okay, there's a method to their madness. They're doing this on purpose.
Have you ever done this in your own life? Like tried to like come up with Gematria news, like coding any of your things? Like, does it have a secret power to do it? I don't understand the benefit of them going through all the trouble to put their codes and everything.
Okay, so it goes back to Hermeticism. Hermeticism's old world knowledge that predates the Bible. Hermeticism has 7 principles, and one of the principles is the principle of vibration, and it says that everything in this world, every shape, every symbol, every color, every number, it carries a vibration, and that vibration has an influence on our behavior. And if you open up a numerology book, per se, and it's one that introduces this concept of Gematria using the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, that's what you'll find in numerology books that cover this topic. They'll say that if you decode your name, if you learn your birth numerology, you'll see how you have all of these connections to people in your world. It'll blow your mind. So once upon a time, I read that and I thought, could that really be true? I mean, it sounded like a load of BS to me. So I said, well, what would be the most meaningful thing I could do in my life? I said, how about I decode my mother, my father, myself? And what blew my mind is, okay, my dad's name, using that dark blue cipher, his full name sums to 89. My full name sums to 89. My mother's birthday is September 8th, which is written 8/9 in the majority of the world. And if you go to Google right now and you type, what's the coldest day ever recorded? If you just type that into Google right now, what's the coldest day ever recorded? It'll tell you that it was July 21st, 1983, and the record temperature was negative 89 Celsius.
That's my
birthday.
birthday.
Do you think I was born?
What did you just say? That was my birthday.
Your birthday's July 21st?
No, I'm just kidding.
I was just say that's really. I know
just
that you're
trying to creep you out a little bit. Do you ever like get on a roll down the rabbit trail and you're just like, oh my god, that connects? Do you ever just like get creeped out by this, or is it just something?
No, it never creeps me out. I just find it interesting.
Tell me about when you call the ADL. I saw real quick a video of you calling into the ADL, and it seems like you do some like activism, calling into people and recording it. Tell me some stories about that.
Sure. So I've done that for years. I'll just call, I've called the FBI multiple times. I'll call these politicians when they're invested in this phony baloney. I'll call things like the ADL. I'll call newspapers that write bogus articles. And I usually just introduce this topic to them in a logical way and say, pretty much what I'm trying to show people is, look, your government doesn't care at all about you. They don't want to get back to you. They don't want to take you seriously about any subject. And just one of many reasons why people need to wake up to what this government is. It's not here to represent us. And, so I'm trying to do many birds with one stone when I call these people. I'm trying to show people the futility of the government. Also, how to use this code and speak about it logically. I'm trying to influence people to make calls and call out these corrupt officials in our society. And like calling the ADL, the whole ADL is all coded out by some of their favorite numbers. Look, real quick, I don't know how long you want to go tonight, but I'd like to hear if you think this is coincidental. Theodor Herzl, the founder of Zionism, dropped dead July 3rd, 1904, and he dropped dead at age 44. And for years, I've been educating people about the word kill and 44. The word kill with the alphabetic order is 44. Other things that sum to 44, Theodor Herzl died at age 44, and he died 44 years before the establishment of Israel, the Zionist nation. Israel equals 44, Zion equals 44, Netanyahu equals 44. If you go to type in Netanyahu, you see how his name's 44 and 134? Do this for me. Hold on,
I got one more. Oh, wait.
I can tell you all about Alex Jones, man. I can tell you all about Alex Jones. InfoWars is 42. Alex is 42. He's born on the 42nd day of the year. Um, what's wrong with me right now? The word war itself is 42. So is World War. The Holocaust began in 42. Alex Jones also sums to 33. If you use the rule on S, his name Alex Jones is also 42. I don't spell Zachary that way if you're trying to spell my name. You got to spell it with an H.
What are you connected to? Give me the dirt on you on Gematria. 66, the sign of the devil, -16.
If you put in my full name, it's 89. 66 isn't the sign of the devil.
I know, 666.
Mankind's made on the 6th day. Mankind equals 66.
Looks like you're clear too, right? None of the 68.
Oh, 68's a real special number, man. But
okay.
It's when I started my YouTube account as Zachary K. Hubbard, it's because I'd been using that Google account for my email for years, and I just one day just got inspired to put up a video, and it got quite a bit of traction right away. So I just stayed with that as my account name.
What year did you start on YouTube?
2014 on YouTube.
2014. That's when I started, July 2014, and so we just had our 4-year anniversary not too long ago.
Okay, my first video that was allowed to stay up was in August of 2014. I can't remember what month I put up my first video, but it was deleted real fast.
Okay, we got a couple more super chats, and yeah, let's close it out pretty soon. I like to keep these down less than 2 hours, or else people don't want to watch them.
But hold on, you didn't answer the question real quick.
Oh.
So Zion's 44, Israel's 44, Netanyahu's 44. Can you put back up Netanyahu? I just want you to do this real quick. Theodore Herzl dies at age 44, 44 years before the establishment of the Zionist nation of Israel. If you go to Google right now and you type English to Hebrew, if you go to Google and type in English to Hebrew and type in Benjamin Netanyahu, watch, this will be really cool. I just want you to see this. Benjamin Netanyahu. So copy the Hebrew. Copy and paste. You're going to copy it. Okay, now bring that back to the Gematrinator calculator.
Oh, this does Hebrew too?
Yeah, paste that value there. So I'll show you how it works. Go up to ciphers. Go to
satanic,
ciphers.
Right?
No, not satanic. Go to foreign. Foreign. To the left.
Foreign. Here we go.
Foreign. At the bottom of that list.
Greek.
Type in Hebrew ordinal and Hebrew gematria. Hebrew ordinal is using the alphabetic order, and Hebrew gematria is their most common cipher. So scroll down now. Oh wait, go to Hebrew reduction. Hebrew reduction is important too. It's like the dark blue cipher in English. You see how Benjamin Netanyahu's full name is 44, and then with the ordinal it's 134, and when we type in Netanyahu it's 134. You see that? If you put in Netanyahu in English, it's 44 and 134.
Yeah.
That number...
I'm pretty bad. I was okay at math in high school, but nowadays, like, I get one number in my head, and as soon as the next number comes in, the other number's lost right out the window, to be honest. I have a hard time following all of these connections.
What do you eat for food?
Oh, I eat high fats. I do intermittent fasting and just drink coffee all day until I get hungry around lunchtime.
Well, that might not be the best diet for your mind.
What diet do you suggest?
Plant-based diet. No coffee.
So, like, no meat? You're vegetarian or vegan?
I eat some fish every now and then, but I mostly just eat vegetables.
Pescatarian with some vegetables? Cool.
There you go. You got the terminology.
Yeah.
But, dude, coffee will mess with your focus. Coffee's the drug of capitalism. Anyway, you want to do your super chats. Go ahead, man.
It's the drug of YouTube obsession. Okay, thanks for sharing this, Zach and Adam. Thank you, Tom. The Council of Nicaea created the Trinity, the pagan doctrine from Catholic Church. That's Merry Christmas. Thank you. JR says, I'm curious how you arrived at 1%. If you're comparing a number across multiple ciphers, wouldn't the chances to match have to be higher than 1%?
So he didn't listen carefully. I said just using the alphabetic order.
Okay.
He wasn't listening carefully. Just using the alphabetic order.
Okay. And Anna Reyes says, sorry if you already answered this, but I'm watching intermittently. Can you use Gematria to win the lottery? That's a good question. Is Gematria in the lottery in these big, what are they called? The big winners.
Well, these big winners are scripted propaganda. that you can decipher by understanding this code. But I do have a buddy who's learned from me. Who I used to live up here in Seattle. I moved recently from Seattle, but my buddy who found my work, we became friends through my work. He reached out to me and wanted to meet in the community. He was a big gambler, so he was using my knowledge for that. But then he said that studying the numbers, he realized there was a pattern in Keno with the same numbers I bring up all the time. So he'll play Keno using those sets of numbers, and he wins pretty often. So I can't tell you because I haven't done the personal experiment, but he's probably watching right now. He follows most of my content.
So the dealer that's dealing out on Keno is a part of this Gematria matrix?
Well, how does Keno work? Is it balls in the machine?
No, I think it's like somebody with chips or something. I don't know. It's sad. I'm not a gambler.
It's done over television?
Oh, maybe it is over. If it's over television, then yeah, then it could be explained. I was thinking it was like a card game or some kind of a thing.
I don't play the lottery. It's possible I'm saying the wrong lottery game right now, but I'm pretty sure it's Keno. He tells me all the time. He's like, yeah, do this. I'm pretty sure it's Keno, but I could be saying the wrong lottery game. I'm not a big lottery guy.
Yeah. So. Well, you do. I looked. You do have a nice following on Patreon. There's definitely some people out there that are appreciating your insight into Gematria, and I guess it must your picks must be working for people if they're following you. And you got a good channel with a nice following there, too, for the time being until you get taken down again, I suppose.
Sure. That day will come, absolutely. But, hey, you never answered the question. Do you think it could be coincidence, all of these 44s? If you type in Western Wall, if you go to that thing down there and type in Western Wall, you know what the Western Wall is, I'm sure. Trump, who's the 44th person to be president, a lot of people, Trump is number 45, but he's only the 44th person to be president. Grover Cleveland was number 22 and number 24. So the split count, or a split term, so he messed up the count. The 25th president was the 24th person all the way up to the president. Notice how Western Wall's 44 and 64 in the base ciphers. Type in Israel again, type in Zion.
44 and 64.
Type in Zion. And again,
But
these
didn't
numbers are
these
special.
names, like Israel,
So hold on,
they all
hold
translated from Hebrew. I just can't see how that translation with numbers would be able to translate over.
Hold on, let's get to a point here.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump went to the site of the Western Wall May 22nd, 2017. You just saw that Western Wall was 64 and 44. Mm-hmm. You have to know date numerology too. May 22nd, 2017, two paths to get the date numbers. 5 plus 22 plus 20 plus 17, May 22nd, 2017. That equals 64. You can also skip the 20 part and just go 5 plus 22 plus 17, which is 44. This is the relevance of Gematria. You see how every single day the date numerology is synced up with the word Gematria. Trump wasn't at the Western Wall by accident on that date. These are big numbers and they're repetitive stories. Do a web search right now for Netanyahu 44 seconds of silence, United Nations. Just look at this story in light of what we just saw with Benjamin Netanyahu, 44 in Hebrew, his name 44. Check this out. Netanyahu's 44 seconds of silence. I remember this story like it was yesterday. It was the top news story that day that it happened because it was supposed to be supposedly like a threat to Obama, number 44. And by the way, Obama, number 44, 44 years after the Civil Rights Act. MLK killed on 4-4. Malcolm X killed on a date with 44 numerology. His assassin got 44 years in prison. In the cipher that Marty Leeds uses, African American is 44. So shout out to Marty Leeds, who disses my work. His cipher is relevant. I could teach you a lot about the relevance of his cipher, but you'll never see the greater relevance of his cipher without knowing the base ciphers, which we talked about tonight. When you follow this code of numbers and you know what the meanings are behind the words, you realize this stuff's not an accident. And I can't tell you how many more Netanyahu stories between this one up to the present have been around the number 44. Look, Netanyahu summed to 44 and 134 in Hebrew and in English. I don't know if you kept that straight, but that's what it was. You remember that two numbers were the same in Hebrew and two in English, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. 134, big number. Tisha B'Av with the English alphabet sums to 134. That's to remember the destruction of the two temples. 9th of Av, which is the English way of saying Tisha B'Av, sums to 134. Make America Great Again sums to 134. The name Jared Kushner is 134. The name Melania is 134. Donald Trump, backed by Sheldon Adelson, big Zionist agenda. You got Trump on the coin with a third temple. And again, for years, even before all this stuff happened, I said that the Trump-Pence ticket is a mocking from Revelation about the end times, the great catastrophe coming in the world. Their agenda is to further divide us, to bring on this war with the Middle East, dividing East and West, the next great war, the next needless war. They're moving us in that direction. They're doing it all ritualistically by a code, by the same repetitive numbers. You learn the code. You see how they do this stuff every step of the way. When I just asked you about Theodore Herzl, his name equals 73, by the way, like sacrifice. He died July 3rd as a sacrifice for the Zionist agenda, with the planned state of Zion, Israel, being established 44 years later. These people are planned out centuries in advance. It's why 9/11, it was drafted in a document called the Project for a New American Century years before it happened, calling for this new Pearl Harbor to catapult this agenda of wars in the Middle East, more surveillance here at home, everything that's happened. Project for a New American Century. That happened at the beginning of the century. We're living out a scripted agenda. It's divisive. It's hate-filled. It's based in war, militarism, banking. I
just want to stop you. You were talking about the foundation of Israel. I just heard recently Christopher John Burkus has a new book called Premonitions of the Holocaust, and he was saying that there's some Gematria connection to the year 1948. Is that something you've heard of?
Sure, 1948. So look, the synagogue of Satan equals 223. That's the 48th prime number. The synagogue of Satan is the name for the false Jews. They established their nation in 48, not by accident. Freemason equals 48 in Hebrew and in English. Illuminati sums to 48. And again, Freemasonry is the pursuit of light. Illuminati means in the light. Think about Hollywood with all of its Illuminati symbolism. Hollywood's 48. Very special number. And it was a big number in the election of Trump, too. It's too much to cover, man. I think that the bad thing I've done tonight is we've just skipped around a lot. We haven't been able to just like flow with a topic. Like in the beginning, I wanted to just tell you more about 9/11 before we got into numbers.
I'm sorry. I had a lot of questions.
It's all good, man. But it sounds like your attitude overwhelmingly is that this stuff is coincidental, and I find that disappointing because...
No, you want to hear... I'll tell you my take on it. I think that, I know that there's definitely Jews in the world that this gematria is very important to them, and it's definitely something that's been going on in there, something they've been into for a long time, since the beginning. But as far as like all of the athletes not really like trying to win, like I can understand games being like maybe thrown, like missing a shot at the end or playing bad so that you lose. But to have all of the numbers being equal something, it just seems like maybe we're looking a little too hard into things and finding connections that aren't always there. Is my honest thought.
So here, let me counter what you're saying. I'm sure you're familiar with the Golden State Warriors and the Splash Brothers, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, right? So Steph Curry, do you know what day his birthday is?
No.
It's March 14th. It's Pi Day. 314, like pi, 3.14.
Mm-hmm.
Pi Day celebration began the year he was born in 88. And March 14th, his birthday, is the 73rd day of the year. Type in the word number. Type in the word number. The most important number is pi. The word number is 73. Pi Day is the 73rd day of the calendar year. Notice that in our most pure cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, number sums to 28. That's the dark blue cipher. 28. Here's why that's interesting. The first three perfect numbers are 6, 28, and then 496. Huge jump up. Notice how many letters are in number. There's 6 letters in the word number. It sums to 28 in the most pure cipher. 28 and 6 are the first two perfect numbers. Numbers are perfect. This is why numbers are used for things. Of course, you can use numbers to manipulate things, but numbers are perfect in themselves. That doesn't mean they're free of manipulation. Anyway, If you look up Klay Thompson's full name, if you want to look it up real quick, Steph Curry, okay. The Golden State Warriors set the win record with 73 wins, right? Do you remember that? That they set the win record eclipsing the Bulls with 73 wins?
Yep.
Okay. Del Curry is the father of Steph Curry, former NBA player. Del Curry was playing in the league when Jordan and his Bulls set the 72 win record. If you go back and look at the 73rd game of Jordan's record-setting season, his 73rd game was against Del Curry. Okay? His 73rd game was. Klay Thompson is the father of Michael Thompson, who used to play for the Blazers and the Lakers. I want you to look up Klay Thompson's full name. That's not his full name. Get his full name real quick, and I want you to copy it and paste it in here, and I want you to see what jumps out about Klay Thompson's name. And later, I'd like for everyone to go to my Gematria FX Sports channel and watch my video on what just happened here with Klay Thompson's 14 three-pointers, an NBA record. So you need Klay Thompson's full name. Do you see how it sums to 314?
Yes.
314. Like pi, like 3.14, right? These guys are the sons of former NBA players. They're two of the best basketball players on this team. Type in the word Oracle. Oracle.
Oh, shoot. I just realized I wasn't showing this on the screen. There we go. Klay Alexander Thompson 314. Oracle is the stadium that they play in that's owned by Larry Ellison.
So, do you remember when the Boston Celtics broke the Warriors' home record win streak at 54 games in Oracle?
No.
You can look it up. The Boston
54,
Celtics.
Yeah.
Okay, and when you flip the alphabetic order around, Oracle's 108. The Golden State Warriors win with 108 points all the time. If you write out Golden State Warriors and use the rule on S in our most pure cipher, Golden State Warriors is 108. When Steph Curry signed his record contract, he signed it 108 days from his birthday. Type in the word geometry. Geometry. You see it. With the alphabetic order, geometry sums to 108, and with the reverse alphabetic order, geometry sums to 108. That number is very special. Where it gets its significance from is in the geometry of what we're told about the relationship between the sun, the earth, and the moon. If you look this up, it's all factual. The diameter of the sun is said to be the diameter of 108 Earths. That means 108 Earths stacked across is how wide the sun is. And it's said that from the Earth to the sun is the diameter of 108 suns. And from the Earth to the moon is the diameter of 108 moons. I heard you say you're into yoga. You probably know about 108 sun salutations in yoga, 108 prayer beads.
I've heard of that term. I didn't realize there was 108, though.
It is. So 108, and this is related to the sun. Type in Major League.
Okay, we got a super chat from your buddy Marty Leeds, so we'll get that in a second. But what word did you want me to read?
Major League.
Major League.
There's 108 double stitches on a baseball. 108 double stitches, okay?
I just saw something recently that, well, I know Freemason created basketball, but also that baseball is all... Is that your video, that baseball is all created by Freemason symbolism?
Well, other people have covered that topic, but what I've taken is shown how they coded all the numbers into this subject. So 108 double stitches on a baseball. I guaranteed the Cubs were going to win the World Series to break the 108-year curse the year they did it in spring training. And by the way, I've done this every year since spring training. Every year since spring training, I've called at least one of two teams in the World Series. Last year, I had it dead on why it would be Astros over Dodgers. I also got an article written about me last year making fun of me for what I exposed about that. So anyway, if you look at the Super Bowl, they sew 108 game balls for every Super Bowl. That's a Super Bowl tradition. There's 108 game balls made for every Super Bowl. Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, means geometry and language. Not an accident. Here, I want you to spell a word. People know this about the NFL. It's a complicated word. It's called vesica piscis. Or here, you can look at this up.
I just want to show people this, just so that claim you made 108 footballs
for every Super Bowl.
Look at this. In the case of Super Bowl balls, the factory began working. Blah blah blah. Each team gets 108 of them in 2 shipments within 48 hours.
That's the number. You know, when the Cubs broke the curse, they beat Cleveland. There's 108 double stitches on a baseball, which actually means there's 216 stitches. They beat Cleveland, which is the 216 area code. Not an accident. And I showed for that World Series in spring training, I predicted it would be Cubs over Astros. I was wrong about the Astros part, but when the Astros were eliminated, the next thing I said is it'll be Cubs over the Indians for that exact reason, the 216. And I was right about that as well. So that's what I mean with my picks. I can often see at least one or two teams. Sometimes it takes – last year, for example, in the NFL, I told people why the Super Bowl would be the Patriots and the Eagles from September 23rd on. Everybody thought I was wrong when Carson Wentz got hurt, but I said, no, man, you guys aren't seeing it. Nick Foles is perfect to complete the ritual I've been talking about all year. So
people told me I looked like him, Nick Foles.
Nick Foles? You sort of do look like him. You sort of do.
Somebody's told me that before.
That's not a bad thing though, but you've got sort of a resemblance.
Okay, so let's get to Marty's question. It's a Gematria question, and he's another researcher with videos about this, and that's Marty Leads Live. He says using let me make sure. Okay, yeah, using septenary cipher and rule of Colel, the 10 words of the decimal system sum to 180 in English, French, and Spanish ? Thoughts, Zach? Did you get that, or do you need to read it?
I think it's a brilliant observation. I think Marty does great work. Look, Marty says the entire English alphabet is based in pi. Can we go back to the Gematria calculator? I want Marty to explain why he denies this. If you can go back to if you would write out 22 divided by 7 for me, I would be grateful. 22 no, not like that, as words. 22 divided by 7. And the reason we're writing this out is because this is the mathematical shorthand to get to pi. This is how a mathematician quickly gets to pi. 22 divided by 7. Now look at the alphabetic order. Look at what the alphabetic order sums to. 314, like 3.14 for pi, right? Notice the 107 in our most pure cipher. Would you click on the 107 for me?
Wait, where did we get 22 divided by 7 again?
Okay, so Marty Leeds says the entire English alphabet and the coding behind it is based in pi, right?
That's right. Yeah, I remember him saying that.
So Marty says that this cipher with the alphabetic order is not a real cipher, which is just a completely logical cipher. It's a cipher that's used in Hebrew, it's used in Greek, it's used in Latin, so why wouldn't it be used in English? I completely agree with Marty Leeds that the English alphabet is based on pi. There's so many tributes to pi and mathematics and geometry. I mean, we've been talking about it tonight in sections. The beginning of the Bible, New Testament, math, Matthew. So look at this. Write out 360. Just write 360, like the degrees in a circle.
I feel like I'm writing checks.
Well,
I never spell out words. 360. There we go.
You see the 227?
227, yeah. I
22
don't know.
divided by 7 is pi.
Oh.
So it's like, and what else is a trip is the 88 there in the base cipher is interesting because they began celebrating Pi Day in the year 88. And if you think about what 88 is, it's 4 circles, right? It's 4 circles. They time travel at 88 miles per hour and Back to the Future. And what's interesting about that is if you take 4 circles and you measure the degrees in each circle, that's 4 times 360. So you have 1,440 degrees of circles, like how you have 1,440 minutes each day of the year. This is what I don't understand about Marty. He wants to say that these ciphers are just straight up bunk. He's been following me since I just knew the alphabet, the green and the blue cipher, which is what I taught for years, because that's what I knew. And I would just show things like that. And I even posted on Marty's site. I said, hey, man, I like what you're doing over here. Great work. What do you think about this? How come you're not covering this? And next thing I know, Marty Leeds is taking stabs at me. And he challenges me to a debate. And I say, hey, I'd love to debate you, man. Let's do it. Just tell me when and where. And then he says, oh, never mind. I don't want to debate you. So it's like, why, Marty?
Send me some shekels, Marty, if you want to respond. And I'll read the super chat.
Marty lives in a treehouse, people, and he can only count to 7. So go easy on him. But I still think Marty Leeds is all right. I still think you're all right out there, Marty. I like that you teach the Gematria. I just don't know why you're denying the 2 ciphers that are shared in books that are older than both of us.
Are there many other people on YouTube covering Gematria?
Well, I'll tell you what. Nobody was. Okay, wait a minute. Marty was here before me, but Marty was only teaching this septenary cipher. Can we do a favor? I want to do a shout out to Marty real quick. He has been here longer than me. I wasn't aware of Marty when I started this research, but people said, hey, you should check out Marty Leeds. He's doing something similar to you, which got me excited. I thought me and Marty were going to be best friends. Marty's hated my guts from day one. And, I just don't get it. People said, is he a shill because 33 is at the end of his name? I said, I don't know. All I don't understand is why this guy hates on me so much. But hold on, I got to do this shout out to Marty. Can you do one more decode with me tonight? And then I'd just love to hear you say if it's a coincidence. And this can be the last decode. We probably have people's heads spinning with numbers.
Okay, here's the finale, guys. This is the closer.
Okay, so for people, will you refresh the screen so we get rid of the Hebrew ciphers? People who are here, they might think those are like extra ciphers and be confused.
Yep.
All right, so that's what we want. We want our base ciphers. I want you to type in the letters DC. DC. You see the 47?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to type in government. You see the 47? There's a lot of numbers up there that matter, man. There's a lot. I could tell you about why all 4 of those numbers matter, but we're just looking at 47.
Tell me there's something bad here, please.
I see things, but man, look, I always tell my followers, don't discredit anybody because of their name Gematria. Look, I've shown for years how the media uses certain numbers and the same things over and over and over. That's how we know that they're coding these numbers for certain reasons. I can't base anything on somebody's name off one thing. I like GDL, Handsome Truth, you guys all equaling 58. I thought, that could just be an organic coincidence. But then when you had that shopkeeper with the 58-year-old, I was like, okay, now I'm not sure what's going on here. But hold on, we're coming back to the 47 thing. DC's 47, government's 47. Type in authority for me. Authority.
Authority.
Perfect. Type in White House. See the 47, everybody, the 47. White House, 47. Type in president. See the 47. And there's a lot of numbers that are repeating on the screen, but we're just looking at the 47s. I could tell you things about POTUS, but that's another conversation. Type in Republican. 47. Type in Whig.
Hold on,
Lincoln.
Democrat.
Democrat's 47.
It is 47.
Yep. Type in Whig.
Okay. How do you spell that?
Whig.
W-I-G-G?
No. Whig Party. W-H-I-G. If you don't know this in history,
47.
Abraham Lincoln took the Whig Party to the Republican Party, and he gave that speech 77 years ago. The cornerstone for Washington, D.C. was laid on a date with 47 numerology. If you look up the Freemason logo, the capital G with the compass and the square, the compass is set at 47 degrees, and the circle beneath the 47-degree angle is called the pole star. Type in pole star. Pole star.
Okay, P-O-L-E-S-T-A-R?
Pole star, 47, right beneath the 47-degree angle. That's what it's called on the Freemason compass, the circle beneath the 47-degree angle. Type in the word foundation. Foundation. The 47 degrees on the Freemason compass is set in tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid, the Greek mathematician, about how to establish a perfectly square foundation for a structure. The cornerstones of so many things have been laid on dates with 47 numerology, including Washington, D.C. Modern Freemasonry began June 24th, 1717. 6 plus 24 plus 17, that was a date with 47 numerology, not by accident. Type in the name Trump. Type in the name Trump.
Okay, I think we ought to close down the Gematria. People are going to be overwhelmed.
Hold on. Trump was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel the night of the election. One last thing for me. Last one's here. Type in Ivanka Trump, and then type in Lisa Simpson after that. So enter Ivanka Trump, then get rid of it. No, not all together.
Okay.
We want Ivanka Trump. Hit enter. Hit enter.
Yep.
Now delete that and type Lisa Simpson and hit enter.
But what do they have to do with each other?
I'm going to show you. Lisa, make sure you get it right. You're missing an S.
Simpson. Sorry, there we go. Simpson.
Hit enter.
47.
Now scroll down. Scroll down. No, scroll down. Their names are the same in all 4 ciphers. Now here's what they have to do with each other. The Simpsons had the predictive programming for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is followed by the first female president of Lisa Simpson in the cartoon. There's also another cartoon made after that about how Ivanka Trump runs for president in 2028. That's the year she turns 47 years old. Trump was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel the night of the rigged election. Not by accident. Obama took office at age 47. This number's always big in D.C. If you write out France, it sums to 47. France was designed by the late Enfant Plan, a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason from France. This number's big business to them. Again, this entire code is in tribute to God. In Hebrew, Elohim sums to 47. And remember, we were talking about all the spiritual numbers that are 74, including Jewish and Masonic, and how Jews write out God G-D, 7-4. In Hebrew, you read right to left, though. So 7-4 with Hebrew vision is 4-7. These people are playing God over us. Something you can research and tell me this is a coincidence. I pointed this out in 2015 when Trump took office. You'll notice on that list, President's 133, White House is 133, Government's 133. It looks like government fell off your list, but it's another 133. When Trump first began to run for president, there were headlines put out about how Donald Trump was the 133rd richest man in the world, and then a big deal was made about his 133rd appearance on Fox News, which Fox talked about, CNN talked about. When you know this code, you go, oh, wow, these people are coding things through the numbers. They're communicating what's to come. If you look up the TV show Suddenly Susan, there was an episode from May 8th in history about Donald Trump becoming president. May 8th, 5-8, like how he won the 58th U.S. presidential election and everything else we talked about earlier. The point is you learn these numbers, you look at dates in history, you see that this is how they're conducting their rituals. I admit, when I started, I thought there's things I could tell you about all these numbers you're putting up on the screen, by the way, man. There's a lot to know here, but...
Somebody sent a super chat asking to see Libertarian because we did all the other political parties.
You see that 188? No. You see that 188? Type in Bavarian Illuminati. The U.S. dollar bills are full of Illuminati symbolism. And if the U.S. dollar bills are the 1, the 2, the 5, the 10, the 20, the 50, the 100. You add them together, they sum to 188. Notice Bavarian Illuminati is also 80. This year on August 18th, we had the death of Kofi Annan on 18/8 at age 80. His full name, Kofi Ada Annan, equals 80. So does Nobel Peace Prize. He received the Nobel Peace Prize on the day leaving 80 days left in the year. So do most Nobel Peace Prize winners. These are just the types of things where you're like, oh, wow, they give out the Nobel Peace Prize on the day leaving 80 days left in the year more often than not, and it equals 80. And that was the big story when Kofi Annan died, that he received the Nobel Peace Prize. I can give you, there's so many examples from my work over the years of how they code this number 188. Very special number. It is interesting that it's coded into Libertarian because it's another compromised political party. And for all the libertarians out there, look, I totally get the ideals and where you're coming from. I'm mostly there. I want to abolish the federal government. I want smaller government. I want a whole lot of things that we don't have in this world. But still, the political parties are controlled. The Green Party, the Libertarians, of course, the Democrats and Republicans. What did you think about? Hey, I didn't give the shout out to Marty Leeds. I didn't give the shout out to Marty Leeds. We got to go back to the cipher. We got to do the Marty.
I just closed it out. I'm ready to wrap it up. We're over 2 hours.
All right, the Marty Leeds cipher, the one he uses. If you write out Washington D.C., where 47 is the number, in Marty Leeds cipher, which is on that calculator, it sums to 47. And I don't know how anybody could think that's a coincidence. Marty's cipher is a supplementary cipher that's important, but it's not the most important. You can't use his cipher to see through the propaganda in the news every day. You can use that dark blue cipher to see through pretty much all propaganda. You look at the other ciphers that we looked at tonight, you see even more. So anyway.
Right. Well, you hear that, Marty Leeds? Your cipher is weak.
I didn't say weak. I just said I call it the parsley method. I say, if you have a dinner plate, if you have a dinner plate, your cipher's not the main course. Yours is the garnish. Right. It fills out the plate. It's got some nutrients, but it's not the cipher, which Marty says it is. He'll go, my cipher's the cipher. It's the only cipher. It's like, no, Marty, you're deluding yourself.
All right. Well, you guys ought to get together and work it out to see who the Gematria king is. You guys can leave me out of the drama, okay?
Hey, if two guys wanted to have a debate and one guy didn't want to debate, what would that reveal to you?
I don't know. Sometimes people use that excuse with me. They go like, debate me, and if I say no, they say I'm scared. So, that's not always the case. But I like to debate. I like to hear people out.
Okay, well, I hope you research this topic more. This topic is real evidence for how the Zionist cabal operates. They do everything in our news media every single day by this code. All of the world of sports is scripted by this code. We prove it every single day. We've been proving it straight for 5 years. If you think that I'm wrong, look, it's too bad that Google deleted my channel, because there used to be thousands of videos that were evidence of the things I was speaking about. You know, I told everybody to circle the weekend last year that was Yom Kippur, the day for atonement for your sins on the Jewish calendar, how it lined up specifically last year. I said we're going to see the biggest false flag in the U.S. since 9/11. I said it 100 times. That was the weekend of the Sin City shooting. Yom Kippur, atonement for your sins, the whole thing, a perfect numerical ritual. I saw it all year.
That was,
I called a lot of false flags.
Sin City, you mean the Las Vegas shooting?
Right, from Mandalay Bay Casino at the Jason Aldean concert at the Harvest Festival. The Harvest Festival. So, yeah, man.
All right, well, Zach, thanks for coming on. Gematria is a huge rabbi trail to go down. I guess from my conversations with you and Marty, I learned a little bit. Besides your book and your show on Truth Frequency Radio, is there any like well-known, like famous historical books about Gematria, like where you learned a lot of your information?
So the first books that I read were Faith Giovanni, that's the author. Her book's The Divine Triangle, introduces the subject clearly. Mm-hmm. She doesn't show how it's encoded in propaganda, but she shows certain things. Mm-hmm. And again, the other great book out there for information is Manly P. Hall. Mm-hmm. Manly P. Hall, by the way, waited 47 years to go from his 32nd degree in Freemasonry to his 33rd. The word time equals 47, by the way. The tropics of this earth that measure the solstices 47 degrees apart. Also, a lot of the Greeks were into these secret societies. A lot of the great Greeks, if you read about it, they waited to get their rights until they were the age of 47. So this number goes way back. 4 and 7, special numbers. The fourth book of the Bible's Numbers. God creates the world in 7 days. 7's the fourth prime. The divisors of 4 sum to 7. 4 represents foundation. 7 represents divine completion. There's a reason. And again, this nation's birthday is written 4/7 in the majority of the world, like 47. Again, 47 means foundation. Mm-hmm. You flip it around, 74, holiday and Independence Day are 74. And
you got a lot of numbers in your noggin, bro. That you got a lot of stuff memorized, all these connections and birthdays and.
Dude, I gave you about 1/1000% of what I know about this code, man. And I really, if you really want to expose Zionism, mm-hmm. if you don't have to go overboard with Gematria, make your videos all about Gematria, mm-hmm. but if you just start looking, like the headlines you show, sometimes I'm like, damn, if only this guy knew Gematria, then he would see why those numbers are in that article and how they're emphasizing the exact words he's talking about right now.
I showed a lot of like headlines in my Kushner is Jared Kushner, the Jewish Messiah video. I was showing a bunch of headlines like all making it seem like he's powerful and like almost like he's messianic. So like with the meaning of the words though, I saw the connections. But yeah, I guess if I'm starting to throw every word I see into a Gematria calculator, it really could. It's like you could just go on forever trying to look for stuff.
Keywords. So, like, when I do my work, people... Look, if you just go watch my live streams I do, because at the end people are asking, hey, Zach, can you look at this? And I'll decode the whole story in, like, 2 minutes. I'll say, look at that. There's that number again. There's that number again. It's just the same repetitive stuff. Somebody's murdered. It's this set of numbers. There's a shooting. It's this set of numbers. It's really repetitive, man, and it doesn't take that long to recognize the significant numbers that are used repetitiously. It's mind-blowing once you realize it. So, again, it's not that hard of a code to learn. You could have learned it as a second grader as soon as you knew the alphabetic order and how to begin to spell words and add numbers.
I did learn it as a kid. They had those little, I didn't learn it, but I remember the girls, like, they'd create this little paper things, and they'd be like, your name is Adam. That's A. 1, 2, 3, and they'd kind of, like, count the numbers, you know. People maybe have heard of those. When I was younger, they did that anyway.
Oh, the like, what is it? The Chinese fortune box?
Yeah, it's like out of paper, funny. Some origami thing, and it folds.
I forgot about those, man. That was all about elementary school.
Right. Since we mentioned in the Gematria, HT, Handsome Truth matches up, I want to just give a quick shout out that his last channel was taken down again, so he's moved on to HT12 now. So if anybody's missing HT11, you can assume. So what did you do with all your names? Like, what was your original YouTube name?
I just use. So forever I was just doing Zachary K. Hubbard. They delete me and I just make a brand new Zachary K. Hubbard. And then after like the 12th time I was deleted, I was like, all right, fine. I'm Zachary K. Hubbard 13. I'm Zachary K. Hubbard 14. I'm Zachary K. Hubbard 15. And then after the last time they deleted me, they had some new policy where I needed a number that I hadn't used so many times and I couldn't make an account anymore. And so I was done for. But then I moved and I got a new IP and a new phone number and...
Jeez, that's got to be sad when you just like you keep getting deleted so many times and creating new ones and not giving up, and then eventually they just go, nope, no more. You're not allowed online anymore at all until you move.
It's terrible, man. So I noticed Jurassic Liars is a mod in your channel. Part of the reason he gets deleted so much is because of his words that he's using. It's same for Handsome Truth. These guys are very direct and cruel towards most Jewish people. And I would say that's not really a good way to roll. I mean, it's obviously that we're fighting a Jewish Zionist agenda that needs to be exposed. Absolutely true. But that doesn't mean it's every single Jew. Like, I hear Handsome Truth. I like Handsome Truth. I think he's a funny guy. He's engaging. I appreciate he's relatively green. I'd say you're relatively green as well. But I like both of you guys. I like your direction. I'm sure you guys are going to get better with more research. But Handsome Truth, I mean, he spews too much hatred for Jews. It's not every single Jew that's the enemy. There's Jews.
I wouldn't say it's hatred. Maybe a little over stereotyping and a little more inflammatory.
I was watching his live stream the other night. He's like, "Oh, I hate every Jew. I don't want Bob Marley to be a Jew." It's like, dude, don't say that, man. You don't hate every Jew. You don't know every Jew in the world.
Yeah, I've never heard him say he hates every Jew.
Were you watching when he discovered Bob Marley was Jewish?
I don't watch all of his videos, but he hasn't said that in front of me.
Well, he did just say that, man. I was just watching. I was just thinking, oh, dude, don't say that. That's going to get you in trouble. And you probably don't.
If he does say that, he knows that I disagree with that kind of language and that kind of thinking. And yeah, I agree that. But anyway, man, let's not get down this rabbit hole. Let's close it up. 2 hours and 15.
His channels will stay up if he's more careful with his speech.
I agree. Yeah.
He also, in that thing, he ended up. I commented and he started talking to me in that live stream, and it probably went on for about 10 minutes. And he's like, "Dude, I can't trust you because I saw some video that said you're a Jew." And I was like, "Yeah, by some guy who hides behind the camera and whose name and face you don't know and who's slandering me like the many other shills that did." So, I mean...
Well, there's a million videos saying he's a secret Jew, too. Everybody says they come at us with every single accusation they can throw at the wall and see what sticks.
Think about that. That's the number one thing they can do to take us down, to say that we're what we're trying to expose.
I know.
And it's about mass confusion, but apparently it's the worst insult for a truth speaker that they're part of that claim. So.
They're trying to undermine our credibility with our support base is what it is.
Right.
Anyway, so all right, Zach, thanks for coming on and talking to my audience. If people want to find you, I showed everything a bunch of times on the screen. Gematria Effect on Truth Frequency Radio, Gematria Effect on YouTube. Letters and Numbers is the book. We're gonna close it out, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm Adam Green with No More News. Our guest tonight, Zachary K. Hubbard. Everyone have any last word? Quick goodbye.
Just thanks, everybody. Appreciate everybody who listens and takes the time to consider and just doesn't dismiss. If you follow what everyone should do is go read the reviews of my book. You'll see the reviews there. It's at Etsy. The reviews, there's 100 reviews. Tons of people who are new to the work, and they're like, I didn't realize how mind-blowing this was going to be. I didn't realize how solid the evidence would be. Anyone who reads my book, I would laugh if they even tried to discredit a word. And I think you'll find yourself in that camp, Adam, if you read the book I sent you, man. So.
Well, I'll definitely look into it some more, and even if I don't believe every single connection out there is a relevant and significant connection, for sure, I'm never gonna say that the Jews don't believe in Gematria and it's not important to them and it's not a real thing. So
this gives you the evidence of how they operate for centuries. That's the importance of this language. It's evidence to supplement what we already know.
Right.
And trust me, Adam, here's what you don't realize. I've been speaking out against Zionism for a long time, way before I had a YouTube channel. And what most people will do in this world is they're programmed. So if they hear you say anything that questions Israel, the Holocaust, what's going on in the media, there's a label for you. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're an anti-Semite. That is in the consciousness of the programmed populace. And to overcome that barrier that's there, that exists in this world, you need crucial evidence, ammunition evidence to show what these people are really doing. And some people, they'll never be reached by Zionism because they're not willing to look at anything. But if you have Gematria, you can prove the numerical agenda and why things happen on the dates that they do. Because I'm telling you, every single thing in the news is a ritual involving this code. It's Kabbalah. It's playing God over the masses by the old world belief that this is how the world is controlled by God. So leave it there.
Cool. I saw we still have 800 people watching. Thanks everybody for sticking with us this long. We're closing it out. Stay tuned for more videos. Have a nice night.
All right, man. Have a good night.